And we are live once again. WrestlePurists Podcast, episode 111, hosted by myself, Big AO, Charlie, and Joe Hulbert will be joining us live via satellite. So get ready for that. Hope everyone's still enjoying their holidays. Today we're back with another AEW Dynamite review, back in the normal slot on Thursdays. We got a few other things to get into as well. But first things first, as always, please like, subscribe. Super chat, any questions, any takes, any opinions, anything like that, all we'll get them read out. Hope everyone's doing good. Same with my fellow co-host, Charlie. What's going on today?
Hello, doing all right. Yeah, just been celebrating the festive season. Spent so much time with family over the last couple of days. I feel like I live in the same town as all my family, and I do not see them as often as I have over the past week or so. But yeah, had a good Christmas. Ready to talk some graps before the end of the year, and yeah, should be an interesting one. We'll go with that.
Yeah, it was an interesting show, but glad you had a nice Christmas. Good
Thanks.
family
Hope
time.
you did too.
Yeah, man. Ayo, how was your Christmas, brother?
Christmas was great. Got to spend a lot of time with my nephew, with my family in general. I'm actually still here, so I don't know how I sound. I ordered new headphones. I don't have them because they're at my crib, but I'm not in my crib. I'm with my family.
It was a rough week, also that was.
Yeah, it was a rough week last week.
Interviews.
I honestly don't know what's wrong with these, bro. Because I have AirPod not pros, but like the AirPod Pluses or whatever, like the wide ones. I have those. They sound like shit. I have Beats that have mics in them. They sound like shit. So I don't know what the issue is, but I ordered wired headphones with a mic actually attached to it. We're back in business, brother. We're back in business. But yeah, man, excited to talk about a roller coaster of a Dynamite, to say the least.
It was sure something.
Yeah, man, and obviously I got to do what the host does. We got to see how Joe Hulbert's doing. So like I said, he will be joining us as satellite in little bits and bobs. These are, of course, these are live. So don't try and discredit us in that department.
Good evening, Puritans. I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. Charlie, Monty, I appreciate you having me here via satellite. I am sorry I can't be there this evening to accept my award as Wrestler of the Year, but I will be appearing throughout the night, nonetheless, in this very personal form that is definitely live. I'm doing this for a range of reasons. First, I will be there next Thursday, as I feel I owe you one. But, I wanted to kind of make it clear to the haters, such as Ibu of WrestlePurists, if that is your real name, what it means to be a real top guy. This isn't a guy that's simply missing a town or skipping a town, God forbid. This isn't a guy running from the grind. This is a professional making the best of a bad situation, which is what folks like myself, AO, Charlie, and Monty do. So, thrilled to be here via satellite. Excited to give opinions throughout the broadcast. And with that, Monty, take us away.
Very happy to have Joe joining us.
Thank you for joining us, Joe.
He puts the hours in, he puts the bumps in, he puts the miles in, Joe Hall. But
y'all need to appreciate Joe, bro, because for him to make this town after the complete character assassination of one Samoa Joe last night, it wasn't easy for him. It wasn't easy for him, but he's here. He's doing the work, as one Cody Rhodes might say. Clap it up for Joe.
We love Joe.
You gotta applaud it. You gotta applaud these things, people. We go the extra mile of WrestlePurists, especially our core members, whether it's the ones on the screen, whether it's Joe Hulbert, or it was interesting to see Joe Hulbert take some shots at Backup Hangman. Seems to be what everyone in the WrestlePurist family seems to do these days.
Long overdue, honestly. Like Joe's been too nice when it comes to Ibu. Like it's time to tell him to fuck off every once in a while.
Remember when he took a break?
Oh my god! Break,
bro. That break was just like, you know what? I'm just not going to help the channel anymore. And he just tweeted constantly, like he was like, yo, I'm just going to get off Twitter. I'm going to unplug from the IWC. Need a refresher. Nigga was on Twitter constantly. Was doing run-ins on podcasts, bro. Was waffling. Like that entire break was just like, don't book me for pods.
That's basically what he was on.
What a piece of shit.
He is, he is. So even last night, he he was like, "Oh, I should have my day off work today," as in talking about not today. So he was saying tomorrow at the time. I should be able to make the pod. Woke up this morning, can't make the pod. He backed
I
out.
will say, I will say in defense of Ibu, right? I was in a Discord call watching Graps with like Rob, Chris, and them. Ibu popped in. He was talking to us while he was at work. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be on the Dynamite review tomorrow. I heard it wasn't that great, but I'm gonna be on the review tomorrow." And then mid like sentence, his like supervisor or whatever scheduled him for work tomorrow. so he wasn't capping. He was like, "Oh no, we need you here tomorrow, Poppy." I was like, "All right,
bro." Good stuff. All right, let's we've only got a couple, but let's dive into these two super chats real quick. Interesting one from Nancy Regan. $5. Very happy to see Action Andretti carry on more legacy.
That's
interesting.
What was that a rib? Like, what was that, Andretti?
I have no idea, but it was fascinating.
People were asking if it was real. Like, it was a whole.
It got people talking.
It was a moment. And wrestling's about creating moments.
Hey, creating moments, bro. That's going to be an Action Andretti's career highlight reel one day.
I'm walking down a path of no return. Always an interesting name for this profile picture. $1.99, appreciate it, though. Your favourite movie and show this year? Favourite movie? Iron Claw.
Probably Oppenheimer.
Haven't seen it. But Iron Claw, out of respect,
I still need to see Iron Claw. I still need to see Oppenheimer.
Really, really good.
I still need to see all of that shit. So I'll say Into the Spider-Verse for movie. And for show, I'll say Gen V.
WWE Raw.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV series that aren't related to wrestling. Not to expose myself, I just don't watch TV.
NXT Level Up showed me some things this year. I might put them in my top 3.
I don't really watch like current shows, like series and stuff. What my usual plan is, it's not much of a plan really. It's just I'm just late. Like I watched Breaking Bad for the first time this year. Finally got around to it. Finally got around to it after like 10 years.
Let me check my Netflix history. What have I watched this year?
What else have I watched recently? I don't know. I'm watching Better Call Saul at the moment, so that's kind of recent, but it's not exactly brand new this year.
I finally started Shameless again. Not new this year, but
the US one or the UK one?
The US one.
Shocking.
The first 3 or 4 seasons of the US Shameless is like the greatest TV show of all time. It just kind of falls off a cliff, but it's still worth finishing, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm halfway through like the second season. Been enjoying it.
Yeah, man. But yeah, some good TV and movies there. Like I said, I haven't seen Iron Claw. It's just I just got a lot of respect for those Von Erich boys. Anyway.
Excited to be able to watch it.
Tony Khan did a media call. I wrote down media scrum on my notes, and that's why I kind of stuttered a little bit. But media call for Wrestle Dream coming up this weekend, and he was quite open. He was talking about his booking philosophy and how he feels on top of it at the moment. And the Continental Classic was like kind of approached it almost like this experiment, and he's got control groups, whatever he means by that. I don't know if he means focus groups or whatever, And, he was playing with the idea of increasing sports-like presentation. He said the Continental Classic is one of the most fun things he's ever had the chance to book. But yeah, hopefully, Charlie and AO, the Continental Classic does kind of set the tone for more AEW Dynamites going forward. What do you think, Charlie?
Hopefully. The Continental Classic's the most fun I've had with AEW in a while. Like, it's produced like really great matches, and there's just been a lot of story that come out of it with like the character work and that. And obviously, that's a credit to the wrestlers. They've done a great job with what they've like the time they were given and the matchups at hand. But yeah, I would love more of that on Dynamite and Collision going forward because it's been great.
AO, I know you've really enjoyed the Continental Classic, and I know you've really haven't enjoyed the other stuff. So
Yeah.
hopefully they stay more in this, as they call it, sports-like presentation.
That's more to say with more with Dynamite, because like the other stuff, quote unquote, other stuff on Collisions, like it's pretty good for the most part, except for, I don't know, the Abaddon verse and all that. It's not really for me, but the other stuff on Collision is decent. But yeah, the sports-like presentation is something that we were promised when AEW was announced, right? Like as close to like a pure promotion in the US as we could get, but obviously it can't be one for one because it is television, all right? And that's not what we got. I'm not saying that like 2019 to 2021 still like my favorite wrestling promotion. AEW still like my favorite wrestling of all time. Still has some of my favorite moments of all time. But it's just like we strayed so far from that path, bro. And I hope like the CC drew really well numbers wise. It got people excited. It got people talking. It got people really positive about AEW again. That probably haven't been positive the last few months. Like, you know, Monty. But yeah, other people like just the resident Brits on the timeline and stuff, like people bought back in
I
the
like
vision
the
that
tweet.
was AEW.
He goes to my personal account. The @ is the same as my name on here. All I tweet about is Obafemi, bro.
Bro, speaking of Overfemi, bro, one of the tweets popped me so bad, but I didn't want to get it because I was like, I can't like encourage this behavior. He was like, which Overfemi who we feeling like today, boy?
That tweet made me laugh.
The graduation pick's the best,
bro. Man, the graduation pick. I was like, yo, like, in what circumstance would Monty feel like Overfemi graduating from college, bro? Like, what like, but yeah, man, I really like the CC. I hope it sticks around.
Yeah.
I hope this is going to be a hard pivot in the company for people that are like scared because the stuff outside of the CC is not like sports orientated right now. In AEW, creatively, like one person is in charge of the CC, and he's just focused on that right now. So hopefully, when it's over, he'll go back to like being over the show and all that and all this Jimmy Jacobness, we'll call it. I'm not gonna point any fingers. We'll just call it Jimmy Jacob though. We'll be kind of pushed to the side.
Pointing fingers. I'm not gonna
Nah, it's just a name I came up with, bro. It's just a name I came up with. But yeah. Yeah, that's all I gotta say, bro. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that they'll see how much people enjoyed it and they'll stick with that. And I'm not against comedy segments. I'm not against promo segments. I'm not against wacky stuff. Just make it good wacky stuff, bro. Like I don't know how Monty felt about it, but I know me and Chuck, like the elite the Halloween angle they did 2 years ago with Hangman in the Stay Puft Cream Man, whatever you call that thing. That's goofy, that's stupid, that's ridiculous. But I thought it was great. Like it's all those things, but I thought it was great. So you could be a variety show and make good content and not this devil stuff. But,
yeah, the devil stuff is it's not being received very well by the AEW faithful, is it? You know, especially last night. Because we can say the AEW faithful when it comes to Twitter, because you know that's the loudest part of AEW's audience. It has been from day one, you know. So a lot of people were unhappy last night with that, but you know, it seems like Tony's been trying to try different things and see how people receive different things, and he was very much talking up the how well received the fan reaction has been for the Continental Classic. So hopefully more the same. Doesn't mean you have to do a round robin every week, you know, but kind of in the vein of like two good wrestlers wrestling for a cause, you know, that is just kind of climbing the ladder, brother, you know.
It's like, bro, like I remember people used to have to defend AEW a lot with, oh, why are these two wrestling? Because they're professional athletes and professional fighters who are paid by a large company to go out there and fight and let the story stem from that, as opposed to, oh, you took my hat, guess we got to fight now. Like, no, that's Monday night. That's 2019 Monday Night Raw nonsense, bro. Like, we don't got to do that. Let the stories come from the fights. Like, it's easy.
Please bring back the rankings.
And also we're gonna get into it later, but also when people were like, oh, the fans are investing in this devil stuff. The fans are investing in this devil stuff. Do they make noise? Yeah. but the world champion was pinned last night, and you could hear a pin drop, not because the fans were shocked. They didn't give a fuck, bro. They didn't care. They didn't give a fuck. All right, so just tell good stories. That's all.
Yeah, it's pretty much as simple as how you kind of boiled it down to a lot of the time. Like, obviously, it's not the only way to do wrestling, especially when you're doing weekly TV. But just like two guys fighting, and stories can stem from that. You know, I'm very much with Charlie. Bring back the rankings. I was the past few weeks I've been thinking, like, should they? Shouldn't they? I know it's been kind of like a topic a few people have been talking about, but pretty adamant they should. You know,
Yeah, bring the rankings back. That's not to say they were executed perfectly the first time, but
that's the thing.
Do away with them.
It's when you do the rankings, it's a lot to keep on top of, especially in the time when AEW were going through it at the time where it was kind of becoming a mess, and you know, they eventually got rid of it. It's because they were signing all these new top stars
that they had to protect.
So it's like you have to then, like you said, there's a protecting thing, and there's also like, you know, Brian came in and challenged for the world title immediately. You know, and there's things like that, which also you know. You can still do that with the rankings, I think, because it's like, you know, you see it in real sports all the time. There's someone with a big name, a lot of clout, a lot of a good resume and stuff like that.
Bro, you're gonna jump the list. It's just how it happens in the real world, bro.
Yeah, you just, you know, but there's ways to get around it. I understand from a booking perspective, the rankings thing is obviously you can't just show up on a Wednesday and be like, I want to add this and this person's going over and stuff like that. Like, you have to really kind of like plan out how you know, how your rankings are going to take shape, judging from the results of your TV shows that you're putting on. But you know what, I think they've got enough people in the creative room, it seems like, you know, so I think they can keep on top of it, and stories can easily stem from the rankings, and people just want title shots, and again, more sports-like feel to the shows. I think that's what a lot of AEW fans, especially AEW fans that are tuning into like this, you know, and like our audience are also AEW's audience. Like, I know that's kind of how our audience feels about it. They don't want more devil, more lights coming off and on.
And good stories have came from the rankings in the past, like Britt Baker's ascension to the face of the women's division. The story was based on the rankings, her farming wins, her trying to get to the top so she could challenge for the belt at Double or Nothing or whatever. Kenny Omega, he literally went insane because he was losing matches. He was like, "Yo, wins and losses matter here. I'm never going to become world champion if I keep losing. I gotta put points on the board so I could challenge for the belt." Hangman Page, he kept trying to climb up the ladder and kept tumbling down, whether it was like Brian Cage pinning him or whether it was like Matt Hardy trying to fuck around with him or whatever. But good stories have come from this in the past, so it can be done. They're just, you know.
Yeah, especially Hangman. I remember Hangman having like multiple matches where he was kind of like defending his number one spot in the rankings. Like, even that in itself becomes its own title. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, number one contendership is something that people compete for. So it's not like AEW needs any more belts, but still, like, you go back to like Hangman Adam Page, like I mentioned. Like, I remember him having the match with Brian Cage that you mentioned. Then there was the match that he had with Ricky Starks. I think Ricky got hurt in that, but I remember it. Do you know what I mean? I remember it because it was a match that meant something, and I remember it was Hangman as number one contender versus Ricky Starks. You know what I mean? So, you know, just because a lot of fans were calling for more stories and depths to the matches, because I've said plenty of times, I don't just want matches on for matches' sake. Do you know what I mean? But on the other end, it doesn't mean that you have to think of like this wacky, elaborate, eccentric story for everything, like the devil stuff or whatever else is going on in AEW that people don't like, you know. So we'll see. I'm hopeful, you know. I'm not super optimistic in the sense of I don't think AEW in 2024 is all of a sudden going to become the 11 out of 10 show that we did like in its peak, you know. But you know, hopefully the Continental Classic has opened some eyes. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. You spoke with Tony Khan during this media call as well. Earlier, I did mess up and called it the Wrestle Dream media call, and my co-host didn't correct me. So
I didn't even hear that. Sorry.
I said Wrestle Dream. World's
I
End
didn't-
media call.
When I realised it was too far removed, because I realised because of chat, it was like it happened like 4 minutes ago at this point. I was just like, it's fine, it's whatever.
Yeah, we moved on. But anyway, the World's End media call with Tony Khan. So he spoke about the Continental Classic. Warner Brothers Discovery relationship is currently apparently amazing. There's lots of interest in Ring of Honor, according to Tony Khan. He believes there will be a lot of suitors for AEW because, of course, there's substantially more interest in AEW than ROH. And he does believe that they'll be getting a big increase based off everything else that we're seeing going on in the market. So, of course, you would assume that Tony Khan wants to stay with Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers Discovery. Obviously, the recent reports and rumors around WWE make it a little bit spooky. So people are starting to think, where would they end up if it's not WBD? I don't know, because I'm not super familiar with the US stations and stuff like that. But I know ESPN's been floated around. Amazon always gets brought up in these conversations, which always my ears perk up a bit when I hear Amazon, because it just the
I
idea.
would like to see wrestling go to streaming, whether it be like not even just
Netflix.
AEW, like WWE too. Like Netflix, Amazon, like that would be interesting to me. Like because live TV is dying. It is kind of dead. Like Meltzer threw out TBS or TNT, one of those channels, like 21% less homes this year as compared to 2021 or 2022 or something like that. So it's just, and then we look at these numbers like it's the end all be all or whatever, and it's really not, bro. But I would like to see what wrestling on streaming looks like. Thursday Night Football is aired on Twitch. No, it's aired on Amazon now. Twitch or Amazon. I used to watch it. I don't know. I just stream it illegally now. But it worked really well. Like they were doing record numbers. It'd be hundreds of thousands of people watching, even more than that at times. So it is possible. But we'll see. I think it's gonna happen. If not AEW this cycle, maybe WWE the next right cycle or whatever. Because things are moving more towards like every major I don't know what the fuck to call them, but them just having their own streaming service. So I think they're gonna start buying up sports properties and stream them there.
Yeah, if live TV starts to slowly lose sports to streaming, like it's over, bro. Because that's all when it comes to like viewerships and stuff like that, that's all live TV seems to be clinging onto these days is live sports, and obviously wrestling kind of falls into that category as well. So that's why their rights fees have been going up. And
in the UK, NXT's permanently moved to the network now, isn't it? That's going to be live on there.
Yeah, that's a weird one. That came out earlier today. I think the Metro reported it, and I got an email earlier today. It was like,
my sister got an email. She was like, "What is this about?" I was like, "Well, NXT's going to be on the network." Kind of cut and dry.
That's actually kind of surprising because it's not like they could pay themselves to put NXT on the network. No. I'm surprised they couldn't sell to anybody.
Yeah. So I don't know whether they just didn't get a renewal with BT or TNT, whatever it is these days.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there because they just got 100 mil for it off the CW network. So you'd assume that someone in the UK would pick it up. But I haven't really looked too much into the NXT UK rating, to be honest. I have no idea how it performs over here. I wouldn't assume it's exactly lighting the network on fire, But, NXT back to the network. NXT on the network. The glory days, the glory days. Couple super chat. Showtime Spurs, $5. Appreciate you as always. I've been doing a Peaky Blinders rewatch, and everyone sounds like Monty. Feel like Tommy Shelby is going to start gushing over Femi at any moment.
That'd be quite a sight.
There's quite a lot of bad Birmingham accents in that. They do get better as the series goes along, and there is. Like, for me, being an actual Brummie, the genuine Brummies in that show stand out to me. Like, I can tell that it's legitimate, But, it's a big fan of
Wait, so it's actual Englishmen trying to sound like a Brummie but failing?
Not completely.
Or are they like Americans?
Like I said, it's not terrible, Yeah. It's not terrible, but,
But if you know.
especially obviously with myself, it's my most familiar accent, you know. So, yeah, Peaky Blinders, good show. I watched that recently too. We'll choose on $5. Appreciate it. As always, the Continental Classic is great, but please take the pen away from MGF next year. Bro, MJF doesn't have the pen. No, I do think like as much as MJF's storyline, I don't think I've tried to hide this at all. Like this devil stuff, like he ain't for me, but I think it's ass. But like, I do think that the AEW fan base, from what I see on Twitter, remember it's not the entire audience, but like from what I see on Twitter, I do think people kind of like solely blame MJF, you know, and it's like he makes these suggestions of what he wants to do, you know. It's not like he doesn't have the final say.
Yeah, but it's equally TK's fault for approving all this shit. But it is MJF's monstrosity creations that are getting put on TV. But he's not the boss, and he should just be being told no, and he's not being told no, which is an issue.
Yeah, then it's like it's even when he's not being told no, it's like. Yeah, fuck it. Like we'll hear about like a certain picture or something, yeah, and it won't go that way because it will get taken. So like MJF's original idea that's not like particularly the most, you know, palatable to us. That's one thing, and then that idea then gets tinkered with, and it's not even what the original was meant to be, and then it's like we get shit like Last Night, you know. So even though the original idea for that probably wasn't amazing in the first place, it's like what we got last night was probably even worse, you know? So it's not like MJF has the pen, you know? He has a lot more say than your average Joe on the AEW roster, but it's not like he's like, this is what I'm doing, this is how we're doing it, and no one can change it. It's not like that at all. So, and it's not to defend MJF. Like I said at the very start of what I was just saying, so this devil stuff is whack. Like, so, you know, MJF's reign in the past few months has, you know, it has been disappointing the way that it's seemingly being wrapped up, you know, because people didn't enjoy the Jay White feud. That got a lot of criticism. And now, obviously, this devil stuff, we're going to talk about it a lot more on this show, so I'll try not to take up too much time with it now. But, you know, it's a shame this is how his first reign is coming to an end, you know. He's injured as well. Like, it is a shame, I think. So,
yeah.
You know. But this devil stuff, brother. Yeah. It's... yeah. Mazfan84. 199, I appreciate it. As always, Ed Kingston is promo of the year from Continental Classic content alone.
It's been incredible.
Yeah, he's one of the greats, you know. Dunman's $5, appreciate it as always. Going from Danielson versus Eddie to whatever that main event was, this devil story ain't it, and dare I say, someone might need to be flogged over it. Hey man, see what happens. Hush $5, appreciate it. So TK says he's going back to sports presentation. I assume he's dropping the trash Don Callis / devil type storylines. He's doing more tournaments. I'm not sure he particularly said he's definitely going back to it, but he was talking up the feedback that he got for it. So hopefully he implements more of it. Who knows if he drops the what you've called trash here? You know.
I'm looking at the quarter breakdown, and the first CC match, the triple threat, was the peak in total viewership, and the second highest peak overall during the original show of 8 to 10 p.m. in the demo, and the second highest peak in the demo was Danielson versus Eddie. So it's drawing. Like this shit is working. But I mean, and then the third highest peak for the demo was Samoa Joe versus MJF. But that entire quarter was the overrun, which always kind of like skews upwards.
Walked out at like 9:58. You know,
so there's no real way to tell if people were tuning in for that or just checking out what was on the station now that it's 10 p.m. or whatever. But yeah, so the CC is drawing, bro. Like just stick with what works. Like people are happy, it's doing good business. Just stick with what works.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Tony talked about the Warner Brothers Discovery relationship, Continental Classic. He was asked if he has replacements for the VPs and other front office people that have been, departed the company recently. He says he has some big announcements regarding that, hinting that those will come in the new year. So we'll see what Tony's got up his sleeve there for his office people. And he also said that Kenny Omega's diverticulitis, of course, affected a lot of things when he came to the World's End card. So maybe just the tag title match, because that obviously is an important match, So, but maybe it's other things as well. I don't know.
Seems dramatic. How much more could it have affected?
Yeah.
Sounds like, hey man, don't blame me. This pay-per-view's mid, Kenny's guts are going crazy right now. Pause. So
throws his hands up like, cut me some slack.
You see what happened to Kenny.
Anyway, Showtime Spurs $5. The post-match interviews from the Continental Classic is something I'd like to see expanded. Maybe even for every match on the show, if possible. I think every match on the show would probably be overkill. Like, I don't need to see like backstage promo with, I'm not
fucking 2.0 having a match against, FTR for like 4 minutes or whatever. I don't think we need a backstage promo for that. But like every match that you would expect one, like a big match, like people went into it with like excitement or whatever. That was promoted to be like a selling point of watching AEW this week.
Featured matches, title matches. I won't be against it, especially in the format that they were doing it. Like posting them to social media first.
Yeah.
And I guess like the ones, then you clip them up and put them on the show, especially the ones that go bit. I don't know if viral is the right word, but the ones that blow up a bit.
The best received ones, yeah.
But yeah, definitely, because like at the end of the day, it's not like it's gonna cost you any money. It's not really. It's like it takes much time, Yeah, they're more than capable of doing it. People like it. People like it when New Japan do it. I know it's a lot more like formal, New Japan, but people really enjoy it. People really enjoy, especially like us fans on like this side. Obviously, me and Charlie on different side of the world to AO, but you know what I mean. The West. West. A lot of us, we really enjoyed that part of New Japan's presentation. So hopefully AEW can keep it up. They've tried something new and it's worked, and keep it going. You don't only have to do it for the Continental Classic. Showtime Spurs, appreciate you, though, brother. As always. Super chats coming. We'll get them read out. We'll answer the questions. We'll do whatever it is. Anyway, Dynamite review. Let's get into it. Let's get into this very interesting episode of AEW Dynamite. It's very safe to say that it had some ups and downs, didn't it? So, what the new what did they call it? New Year's Smash.
New Year's Smash, yeah.
Yeah, New Year's Smash, and we opened up with the Continental Classic Gold League final. John Moxley versus Swerve Strickland versus Jay White. It was a nice opener. I thought it took a little time to.
Yeah, it went like almost like 30.
And I kind of felt that, I did feel that, because I did feel like it took quite a while to get to the peak I wanted it to. But once it got there, it was a closing stretch and stuff. I think there was a lot of, especially in the opening, like, when someone just kind of gets out the ring, and it's
you're like, all right, I see where this is going.
Yeah, and it was so transparent in this match. In the early stages, but like I said, by the end, it was really good stuff. And John Moxley eventually gets his pin back over Jay White. And yeah, I know a lot of people were kind of disappointed that Swerve didn't go all the way in this Continental Classic. But I guess where we was at by the end of the show, it kind of all made sense. That Mox and Eddie, like that's just, that's a story worth telling, But yeah, man, good opener. Mox, Swerve, Jay White. Ayo, what did you think?
I like this a lot. It definitely when they started walking and brawling in the crowd. Like I'm not an anti-walking brawl, but I felt like they were, they were kind of like artificially extending the match at the beginning there. But when they everybody got back to the ring and they really started getting into it, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I feel like this is one of the best TV main events I've seen in probably years. I gotta go check. But and yes, I said TV. I tweeted that out and people were crying like, huh. So the Mania 3-way didn't happen. AEW Mark. That didn't happen on TV. You fucking idiot. Learn how to read. But that was a great match. I gave that a 5. Anyway, yeah, man. Like when this got into like the second gear, it was a really enjoyable match. They all came off really well. Mox came off like a monster. Swerve came off like a star. Didn't look weak in the loss at all. Because I was told Swerve wasn't going to be winning this CC from pretty much the beginning, and I was just like, well, y'all fumbling him. But I feel like he came out of this not the winner in a way that completely protects him. Nobody's looking at Swerve like, oh, you went into the CC, you didn't even make it the finals. Nobody's like, oh, you're a loser for that. They're just like, oh, it didn't happen. You didn't get pinned. He was in a 3-way, great match. I'm on Cage Match right now. It's actually rated the third best 3-way in AEW history after the Double or Nothing match with Kenny Pack and OC and the Rampage TNT title match, which was insane. Andrade, Darby, and Sammy.
I struggle with 3-ways, man. 3-ways, 4-ways, 5-ways. I struggle a lot with them, man. You know? I'll watch them and be like,
it's definitely hit or miss format. It really depends on who you got out there.
Struggle a lot, man. Even when they're like, even when it's like a good traditional, I don't know if that's the right word, but even if it's just like your typical like good triple threat where they're kind of going in and out and it's like I just don't like it at all, I just have a singles match, Yeah, man.
Sound like a fucking. You sound like one of those like purist bros. Just like, oh my god.
God, it's disgrace. It's disgrace.
A chair.
But yeah, Charlie, you like the opener? You like the opener, Charlie?
I did. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, it was a bit slow to start with, but with these 3 guys, you could have them doing anything, and I'd probably enjoy it, to be honest, because I just think they're all great talents. But towards the end, it really started picking up, and there was some really creative, like the pin breakups at some points. They like really caught me off guard. Like I think it was Swerve. He just like sat up and shoved him off him, and it was just a cool little moment. But 3-way triple threats are interesting. Like I enjoy them most of the time if there's a lot of like fast-paced action. But with these 3 guys, that's less of a thing that they do. So it was interesting to see how they managed it. But I enjoyed it. Good opener.
Yeah, I guess it was a success. Got him in the end. In my opinion, the right winner. I think, like I said earlier, by the end of the show, it was pretty obvious that he was the right winner as well. So, see what Joe Hulbert thinks. Joe, what did you make of the match, mate?
I did like this, Monty. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Took a while to get going. You and I both, we're not like big triple threat fans, it's fair to say. Took a while to get going. Wasn't big on the crowd brawling, but I think they got on track. And once we got into kind of the sequence stuff, I thought this was pretty damn good. Moxley appeared to be locked in a way that I think maybe hasn't been the case throughout the whole tournament. He's had a good tournament, not necessarily a great tournament. And I think it's the right choice. So I know there's some frustration about the winner. But Swerve, I think, is headed to bigger things. And I think Moxley and Eddie always made sense. And even if it didn't, I would say it did, as I predicted that all along anyway. So I think we ended up in the right place. I like the match quite a bit. Maybe not as much as some of our cohorts, but I did like it an awful lot nonetheless, and thought it was a worthy final for the Gold League. So back to you, Mon.
Appreciate it, Joe. Very good.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Always top analysis from WrestlePurists own Joe Hulbert. Anyway, good stuff. But moving on. Swerve backstage cuts a promo on Keith Lee. he acknowledges Keith Lee because he's been doing all these like weird call outs, calling him. Swerve was like, "Yeah, I am him. See you at World's End if you show up." And who was it who gave him the contract? Someone gave him a contract. Someone came into the shop.
Was it Shivani saying that we already got this written up?
Yeah, Shivani pulled out a contract. Like, well, we already got the contract there. Prince Nana wasn't particularly pleased with it, but Swerve don't give a shit. He's gonna beat Keith Lee and continue his ascent. You would assume at World's End. You know, Keith Lee getting a pay-per-view match. God bless. You know, God bless. You know, but. Yeah, man, Swerve vs. Keith Lee, it's finally happening.
Year and a half later.
I don't really think there was much need, you know, especially now, like, because Keith Lee has become so, regardless of whether you think he's great or terrible, or whatever you think of him, right now he's cold, bro. Like, you know, and Swerve is like one of your hottest acts in the company, so I don't know why you would want to. I'm sure Swerve will be fine. It's not going to derail his momentum or anything, but I don't even know why you would even like play with that, you know. But yeah, I guess there's it's finally happening, like I just mentioned, and it was a story that didn't get wrapped up properly, but still, timing is a bit weird. But
yeah, I'm glad that Swerve is at least staying on pay-per-views. And like he has a position on the card. It's not necessarily where I'd want him to be right now, but I'm glad that like after the Continental Classic, they're not just being like, "Well, we've got nothing for you for the pay-per-view, so you're doing nothing."
Like, like
Brian found something for him. This is what it is.
Yeah,
because there's a universe where they're like, "Oh, 2024 is your year. Yeah. You don't need you on World's End. You don't really got much for you." I mean, I'm not against the busy work. I guess it's just unfortunate that this match got delayed all the way till now. What I will say is AEW fans are still really invested, not so much online, but like in the arenas, like when the match wrap-up went up, huge pop. Was it Double or Nothing when they did the Battle Royale? When they went to face-to-face Double or Nothing, huge pop. And at that point, Keith and Swerve haven't like interacted or even hinted at interacting in like 6 or 7 months. So like fans are still really invested in this. I expect there to be like massive heat during this match. Keith Lee is just not the Keith Lee of 2019, 2018 anymore. And I say that as someone who I love Keith Lee to death, bro. Like he's probably one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
You know,
I've tried, bro. I've been hanging on to the cliff, Monty, and you've been pulling my leg, bro. You're like, "Nah, let go, nigga, let go." But I don't know. I trust this to not derail Swerve's momentum. I was gonna say good, but I don't know. I mean, the Brian Cage match was enjoyable. I'm not gonna say they went out there and had a 4-star match, but it was like Brian Cage was like wrestling around Keith's limitations physically, and it was fun. So hopefully Swerve just right out of the bat brings the pace. There's no like calling up or tie up, whatever. You guys hate each other, so wrestle like y'all hate each other. I probably would have made this a plunder match to protect Keith a little bit more. But they decided not to go that route, probably because of the Texas Death Match. People would be like, "Well, is Swerve gonna top what he did in the Hangman match?" Of course, fucking not. But yeah, I guess that's where we're going with it. Honestly, I didn't really love the setup segment for it. They did the best with the material they were given, I guess. But just fly Keith into Dynamite, bro. There's no collision this week. Just have a face-to-face. Like,
yeah, the way Shivani just pulled out the contract.
Just pull that clipboard and the contract out his ass, bro. Like, just have a face-to-face.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out on Saturday, of course. I doubt Swerve is gonna have a complete stinker out there, you know. So, you know. But anyway, next up, Mariah May. She's interviewed by Renee, I think it was. Interviewed by Renee, says that she's going to be making her. She said 2023 didn't have the right energy. Was it? She said didn't have the right feeling. You know, so she's going to be making her debut AEW match next week, and yeah, man, Rio came down to confront May. Of course, Mariah May hit her with the belt last week, and you know, there was a bunch of running around, confrontation. Tony Storm came out. Rio got the upper hand over Tony. She held the belt. And, yeah, you know, Tony Storm versus Rio this weekend. Tony Storm, to her credit, as much like because when she first started doing the tournament stuff, like her in-ring work definitely kind of like took a major hit because of all like the shtick she was starting to do. Recently, that has drastically kind of like changed. She's still doing shtick, but she's incorporated it into her matches a lot better.
Yeah.
Basically, simply just better the way she does it now. So Rio's a great in-ring, so. Hopefully that's a good one at World's End. You know, I thought this angle was pretty whatever, you know, but
inoffensive.
I would say it was inoffensive. I'm just really happy to see Rio back, honestly.
Yeah,
but
hope she stays on TV.
Chuck, our resident Brit Rest expert, is there a reason why Mariah hasn't been wrestling? Is there something going on here? Is she like injured? Is
I don't think there's anything going on. Okay. Well, she wouldn't be on TV if she didn't have a visa. I can tell you that. But no, I don't think there's anything going on. I just think that they're waiting. They just want it to be a big moment, so they've been like building to it. That's kind of the impression I'm under.
All right.
She's been ready, from what I know.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting the approach they've taken with it, because it's not like she's had loads of chances to like do proper promos or anything. It's like even last night she came out, kind of said Tony Storm's great, said that she'll be having a match next week, and then interruptions, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? So it's not like she's getting able to like stretch her legs in the sense of really show what she can do on the mic, because she's a confident talker. I'm not going to say she's a John Moxley level promo or anything, you know, but she's a confident talker. She comes off pretty well, so. Let her kind of expand on it if this is the approach you're going to do, and by not having a wrestle immediately. But next week, we'll see who she wrestles, you know.
I throw Red Velvet out there.
I said Red Velvet yesterday when
Red Velvet.
Me and Ibu were kind of talking about it. There's Red Velvet, there's Emmy, Yuka.
Yeah.
There's a few more. Like Serena Deeb's cleared now. You know, you've got people. You've got people that you can throw at us. So, yeah. And I don't think you have to be like super careful with it either, because I think Mariah May is like, I don't think she's amazing in ring or anything. You know, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, she's coming from Stardom," you know, and it's like, "Oh, she's gonna show these women in AEW how it's done." I don't think it's quite that, you know, but she's definitely competent as a worker in ring. So.
Yeah, she improved quite a lot in Stardom, because when she went over, she was a little bit rough, but yeah, her Stardom run was pretty good stuff. She got pretty decent in ring. I'm excited to see how it translates to AEW.
Yeah, hopefully she has a good run. You know, hopefully she gets off to a hot start, a hot in-ring start. Anyway, we had a Top Flight Action Andretti segment. They're not letting the head stay down after losing the trios title match. But yeah, they're going to keep on moving. We've got plenty of other trios that they want to be facing in AEW. At this point, they're interrupted by Orange Cassidy, Trent, and Rocky Romero. Orange Cassidy was just basically like, let's do it then. It's kind of Orange Cassidy's thing. He just appears in other people's promo segments and says, like, yo, let's do the dance, you know? Let's do the dance. Rocky made a funny comment after the Trent and Orange walked off, and he was like, "Yeah, he did it to me last week, you know, because he did. It's literally exactly what he did." But yeah, it looks like that. Obviously, that's set up. I think it's for Rampage, if my notes are correct. Top Flight and Action Andretti versus Rocky, Orange, and Trent. Rampage should be a really good match, to be honest. And then what everyone has been talking about. When everyone walks out of screen, you know, he's got Top Flight and Action Andretti there. Action Andretti destroys this bottle of water in about 2 seconds.
What the fuck was that about, bro?
So if I was a more like charismatic, energetic guy, I'd try it now on camera, but I ain't doing it.
I was gonna do a whole bit about how Monty's gonna display for us for his other light skinned brethren, but it's looking like he's not going for it. It's looking like he's not going. I've had people in my school and like growing up, like middle school or whatever, that was able to do that. Never asked them to teach me. Wasn't really interested in learning the skill. I don't think it's for me. I'm gonna hydrate the good old fashioned way. Um, yeah, that was weird, but I'm really happy to see Top Flight is consistently getting matches and consistently getting
Yes.
TV time. I'm a big fan of them. I'm a big fan of Top Flight in general. Action Andretti. Um, I think he's coming along as a worker. He's figuring it out more. Him in a trio setting fits him a lot more than the singles matches we were seeing before. Like that Mox match and that Miro match, those were brutal watches. But I think he's coming along. But I got a lot of stock in Top Flight, Darius and Dante. So I'm hoping they keep getting these moments. They keep getting put on TV. They keep getting better.
I still think they should have won the trios belts, but
I do too. But when you hear the crowd and shit, I was like, it's gonna be too much too soon. I don't want the live crowd to turn against them and shit. And then they gotta try to act like heels. And then it could have turned into a mess. Yeah, it could have turned into a mess, bro. It could have turned into a mess.
Don't want to be seeing them boys as heels. No way. But yeah, I'd probably be more inclined to agree with Charlie in putting the belts on them if it wasn't the Acclaim's first match back.
Yeah, there wasn't the first match back.
I know it's the saying, people do love the Acclaim, right? You know, so,
right?
You know, so you get what you get. You know, these are the guys who play. Marcus said in the chat, but Charlie, can you confirm this? Well, Kenny, I remember Kenny doing the water bottle thing on BTE.
So what Kenny does?
He just like
he grabs it with two hands, pause, and like sips from it really fast a couple of times.
Like, he just drinks like a child. He doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't like drink a whole water bottle in 0.2 seconds and then crush it or whatever.
No, I think actually Andretti just did a bit. Like,
I think he just did it. He's just like, hey man, this is gonna get over on Twitter, and it did. It did get over on Twitter.
It did. That is all people have talked about for the last 24 hours. It's very, very funny.
Oh, God bless Action Andretti. You know, you got to find your niche in this business. You know. So, God bless. Yuzura Hart, $10. Appreciate it as always. Is this the first AEW pay-per-view to have nobody nearly on the show?
Yes.
Yes, because the Bucks have hit every single one.
On every single one up until now, yeah.
No elite wrestling ain't doing it for me. Say what you will about Dark Order or Checked Out Books, but Max's vision for AEW sucks. I think it's Max's vision. So it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like,
no. Let him cook. Let him cook. You're talking that shit.
You had me in the first half, no elite on your show. I do think that is like a con. Like that's not a good thing. No elite wrestling ain't doing it for me. Like, I can sympathise with that, but put it all on Max. Call it Max's vision. Like he's booking the elite.
No Hangman is crazy, especially if they're gonna just trot him out in that 20-man battle royale.
If he's in that battle
royale, Hangman is crazy.
Retire from being a wrestling fan because that is a demotion at this point.
Like what is going on?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you asked, we was talking about the World's End card before we went live, and it's like, it's just, bro, like, Hangman's not on the card, Brian's not on the card, the Bucks, and obviously Kenny, like, the Bucks ain't even like a real reason. Like, they want to go away to come back as like these new heels or whatever the fuck they're doing.
Oh my God, let them cook.
It's not like. It would have been fine. It's like my point is that like they're not injured or like they could be technically on this show. Kenny obviously is completely different.
The only one I understand is Danielson because he has to make that Wrestle Kingdom date. Like it would be disastrous if there was like, oh, something came up in this match, guys. He can't wrestle on January 4th. Like that would be horrible. So I get him not having the match, but
tag with Claudio,
Tag with Claudio.
Do some technical wrestling with someone or some shit, you know.
He's still find a way to get injured.
Yeah.
He'd find a way.
You'd do something crazy, you know.
I know Bushi Road was watching fucking Danielson versus Eddie, like just like clutching their pearls, bro, holding their chest. Because the way Eddie hits those throws on Danielson, bro, it's like he really hates him. Like he's trying to throw him through the ring. It's just...
yeah. Hopefully the Elite are back sooner rather than later. Hopefully Hangman somehow. I don't know, man. I want mine Hangman just getting a fucking random match on the game.
Bro, the pay-per-view reset this Wednesday. Hangman Adam Page would be doing something this Wednesday. Start a story.
Yeah, man. Dubs 199. Appreciate you. Sky Blue will be AEW, TBS, ROH, and ROH TV champ by 2025. Someone tweeted, I can't remember who it was, so I can't even shout them out, but someone tweeted, like, if AEW did a women's Continental Classic, Sky Blue would be in both blocks.
Yeah, I saw that.
Both blocks is crazy. Oh, you know, AEW is definitely invested in Sky Blue.
Yeah, we bought, I think Tico's got a lot of stock in that later.
A lot of stock in Sky Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny 199, appreciate it. Action Andretti was inspired by the Aquaman film. Hey, man.
I haven't seen Aquaman 2 yet.
Haven't seen it yet.
Will Chisholm,
$5. Appreciate you as always.
This is crazy, Will. Andrade and Miro.
Andrade and Miro match just looked like two guys who want to be in WWE, sadly. I mean, maybe not. I never make such assumptions.
I'd miss Andrade a lot. Miro can go do whatever he wants to do.
Andrade seems to be having fun going to Mexico. So.
Oh, he does. I'm sure.
I'm
sure he loves doing that, man.
Charlotte just got cashed out, so he could be a stay-at-home dad for all he cares.
Yeah.
Beast. So I'll do more work for Charlotte Flair, you know? Sit home.
Right.
You know, just
take care of the house.
Tweeting. Just tweeting about people being pieces of shit, you know? But yeah, Berkey 199, appreciate you as always. How are we feeling about Stoke on commentary? He's great. He's great at pretty much everything he tries to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's Stoke, man. He's awesome. So.
Bro, there are very few people in wrestling that are genuinely funny, that are like funny outside of wrestling. And Stoke's one of them. He's great at everything he does. I wish he had a prominent TV role every single week in AEW. I threw out there that him and Will Hobbs would be a great match together on TV. I think that's a main event pairing right there.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we got him doing whatever this is with Willow and Stat. I'm not burying that. I just think that there's bigger and better stuff that he could be doing.
Yeah.
But good to see him back on TV.
Definitely bigger and better. I think. Well, I remember at the end of 2022, yeah, Stoke was one of the nominees, and he came up third or some shit on WrestlePurists best non-wrestler.
Yeah.
And we was like, in 2023, Stoke should have this like wrapped up, bro. Didn't even make.
Didn't even get fucking nominated.
He didn't do anything. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sad,
that ROH authority sheet. It's just like, bro, you can do so much more than that. You know. I've got absolutely no objections to what AO suggested yesterday. Like, put him with Hobbs and let the magic happen. You know, let the magic happen. Give Stoke promo time with fucking Hobbs just fucking standing
there menacingly. Bring back the 5-minute white boy challenge. City to city. 5-minute white boy challenge. Every week. Let's do it.
I wonder how that would go down. Like, no.
People will pro clutch. People will call it racist. People will be like, nah. Like, just out of pure tribalism.
The thing is, you have to build up the white boy who's actually going to take it. You know what I mean? Like, who's the special white boy? But we get to have the
Who
pay-per-view
would be
match with Hobbs, you know.
No one TK would be something disgusting like Wardlow, bro.
Ugh.
It would be something disgusting like Wardlow.
Oh man. But yeah, shout outs though. Hush $2. Any word on Malachi being a singles yet? I
could tell you this, not to sound like backup Hangman. Singles Malachi is just really not something TK is interested in booking. He doesn't really want to see it.
Back to AEW Dynamite, Action Andretti, water bottle. Oh god, Don Callis family segment. So basically, paintings in the ring, all covered up and stuff. You know, Don Callis loves his paintings. It's Christmas time. It's the holiday time. You know, the Don Callis family, they all come out. As in Powerhouse Hobbs, Takeshita, Fletcher, and obviously Callis himself. And Callis is saying he's got gifts for his family members. And he reveals them all. And, you know, he's doing it one by one. And you've got, like, the one with Cole Fletcher and the beating up a pair of kangaroos. The one with Hobbs. And he's like, you've got, like... The paintings do pop me because, like, how, like... Not them in the segment, but the actual painting itself at Mel Coleman. Shout out Mel Coleman.
She's super talented.
Because she always draws Don Callis absolutely jacked out his mind,
Yeah.
you know? Like, same size as Hobbs standing next to him, you know? But yeah, so he's going through these paintings, he's revealing them, Fletcher, Hobbs, Takeshita, they all love the paintings, you know, of course they do. And then out of nowhere, seemingly, Sammy Guevara comes out. Sammy Guevara, of course, he's been out, he's been injured. He's Taya's obviously Taya Mello's, of course, just recently had a baby. Obviously, Sammy Guevara's child, so he's had some time off of that as well. So he's been off for a minute since like October, I think.
Yeah,
he's been away for a minute. So he comes out and he's kind of got like this kind of pissed off look on his face. He comes down and, you know, Don Callis is like, didn't you get the present I sent you? You know, where you've been and all this and that. Sammy Guevara's not really having it. And Don Callis is like, listen, I've got a gift for you. I didn't forget about you either. And he reveals the painting of the Don Callis family with Sammy Guevara. And Sammy Guevara's cradling his baby. And they all look really happy to be there. And it's one big family picture. But Sammy Guevara does not like the painting, Charlie. He's disgusted by it. He's disgusted by the use of his newborn baby in the painting, and he pushes Don Callis because he's so unhappy with this painting. And basically, starting with Hobbs, and then Takeshita and the other guys, they basically just kick the shit out of poor Sammy Guevara. You know, this man is a father now, and Don Callis' family does not care, Charlie. And you know, and Sammy Guevara's getting the shit kicked out of him, and who makes the save? Chris Jericho.
Who else but Chris Jericho?
Chris Jericho, the ultimate babyface of AEW.
I'm sorry, bro. I don't want to see this, but can we acknowledge that pop for Chris Jericho?
It was crazy.
Bro, it was like the glass shattered and Stone Cold was running out there. That pop was crazy.
Sammy and Jericho, bro, people. I don't know, man.
Apparently the lifeguards are into it.
Yeah, Jericho comes out, storming out, the big baby face to save the day, and he tries his best to save his young boy, his Sammy Guevara, but you know he gets outnumbered and he's getting the shit kicked out of him, and then obviously Ricky Starks and Big Bill come out and they get involved, and you know Jericho and Guevara are outnumbered fully, and then Sting and Darby Allin come out of nowhere, seemingly. You know, they're involved in this as well now.
I was not expecting that.
Everyone pops for Sting and Darby Allin, so that got a pop as well. So everyone got pops making these run-ins. It was just so, like, what's happening? You know, like... But yeah, it seems... Like I said,
to be fair, the lights went out, and I was just like, bloody hell, House of Black have found Dynamite again. So when it was Sting and Darby instead, I was like, all right, okay.
I was terrified it was going to be House of Black, but I was like, how are you going to fit FTR into this feud? Because that's what they're currently doing right now. But
the ladder match from the previous pay-per-view.
I was really happy to see Sting and Darby, though. I'm happy to see that Darby didn't die from climbing Mount Everest yet.
Yeah,
Always happy to
restraining.
see Sting. He's almost out of here. Revolution will be here before we know it.
It
It's
will.
unfortunate, bro.
Sad.
It will. But yeah, this is all basically leading to a This is basically led to an 8-man. It's already been announced, and it's the 8 people involved that I've just mentioned. And obviously Ricky Starks, Big Bill, and Ricky Starks, Big Bill.
They ghost swapped out Kyle Fletcher for Takeshita today. Like last night, the match was announced
Did
with
they?
Fletcher in it. Yeah, they swapped out Fletcher and put Takeshita in there.
Owned.
Oh, they swapped them. Okay, because I had seen 2 graphics. I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't know which one was the first one that was announced.
The one with Fletcher was the one that was originally announced, and then today they were like, "Oh, they're kind of on our ass about how we're wasting Takeshita," which they are, and they put him in this 8-man, which ain't much better, but at least we won't get to see him wrestle.
Interesting.
But yeah, this segment, bro, was just kind of.
It was something.
He just wasn't really good, was it? Don Callis comes out. Don Callis does all the talking, which is a repeated criticism at this point. Don Callis comes out, he does all the talking, and then he's interrupted by Sammy Guevara, and Sammy Guevara even brings attention to the criticism everyone's been saying that Don Callis takes all the spotlight and blah 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 blah. So it's like AEW knows what's going on, Unless Sammy's just going, Sammy's shooting,
Could you imagine? Sammy's out there just
shooting on behalf of Takeshita. But yeah, man, this segment, bro, again was just kind of. And obviously, it was just so muddled with everything at the end. Like I know people got pops and stuff like that, but it's just like it comes across as like lazy booking to get everyone on the card. And
Sammy hated that painting of his baby so much, bro. He hated that.
Really wasn't a fan.
He wanted that painting out of here.
It just don't make no sense because it's like Jericho ditched the JAS to join the Don Callis family, but when he actually went to join Don Callis and accept his offer, Don Callis set him up because he thought Jericho was going to say no to him.
Yeah.
So Jericho was left by himself, and we was meant to feel sympathetic for him, even though he's just dumped the other guys. Then,
Jericho's a piece of shit, bro. Like, why is he ever getting sympathy?
Then Sammy Guevara turns on him to join the Don Callis family instead.
Yep.
It don't even start there because Sammy's history with Jericho starts in the inner circle, which Sammy's like, "Yo, you're a piece of shit. I gotta get out of here." So he leaves the inner circle, and then he becomes a babyface, turns back heel, joins the JAS. Was like, "Wait a minute, you're a piece of shit again." Leaves the JAS, goes to the Don Callis family, says Don Callis didn't care about him, even though Don Callis had a painting for him and his baby, so obviously he was thinking about him. Seems like a kind of a weird thing to get upset about. They didn't call you about your baby. Well, people are adults. They got stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? And then he gets back. He has a present for him and his child to hang up in their beautiful home. He turns on him to go back with Jericho. It's a mess in kayfabe. In real life, I feel really bad for Sammy because he's just never going to get out of this whole Jericho's Robin thing.
Yeah.
And people can say whatever they want about how they feel about Sammy Guevara, but when he's told to go in there and have a wrestling match with someone, it's really good more times than not. Bryan Danielson is a huge fan of him. Sorry to burst your bubble, bro. Danielson loves him. Eddie thinks he's great in ring. Mox thinks he's great in ring. Eddie just thinks he's kind of a dickhead, but like personality-wise, Sammy's just stupid. But I think he's a great professional wrestler. Do I think he's going to be world champion in AEW? No. But just let him go out there and have matches, bro. Like, he doesn't need to be Jericho's Robin for his entire life. This Jericho, I hate using the Jericho Vortex phrase, but like, he's stuck in there. It's nasty. He's gonna be there for the rest of his life. He's not a young boy anymore. He's 30, still being Jericho's Robin. Feel bad for him.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, Charlie, it is quite unfortunate, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. This whole story is unfortunate. How are we still here? I feel like I've said this on every fucking pay-per-view, like, go home show. How are we still in, like, Jericho feuding with Don Callis. How did I just? It's insane to me. And this segment last night was really, really bad. Like, I get it was a pivot. They had to do something because of, obviously, Kenny went out, and that's out of their hands, obviously. And you feel for him in that respect. But this is the best they could come up with.
You know what I would have? You know what I would have done? You know what I would have done? I would have had Jericho searching for a tag partner, and everybody tells him to eat a dick. You've been a dickhead since 2019, since the day AEW started. I don't want to tag with you. And then Big Bill and Ricky Starks, they announced that they've retained at World's End because they don't have a challenger. And then you bring back Darby and Sting, and you let them challenge for the tag titles. They're undefeated. They definitely have a claim to challenge for tag titles. They haven't lost in AEW. They have wins over the Bucks. They have wins over FTR, a bunch of other tag teams. Have them win the belts. Let them have a nice, fun reign. Drop them to the Bucks at Revolution.
Have the Bucks retire Sting.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Is that what you... I mean, definitely sounds better than what we got produced last night. So, yeah, man, it's not the best stuff, is it, John?
No, I can't say I was a fan of this one, mate. I can't say I was. I think Charlie makes a great point, you know. We're just going in circles with this deal. I mean, in terms of the execution, it wasn't a catastrophe, I didn't think. I mean, there was too much going on, obviously, and it did feel desperate and kind of dizzying, but, you know, like the performances weren't bad. And in fairness, the crowd did kind of like the Sammy Jericho reunion, the latest one, that is. But even still, it's hard to care about this direction, right? I mean, it feels awful familiar. I think Sammy Guevara's presentation here was pretty brutal, to be honest, considering he just come back. There's a chance for a fresh start. And instead, they did this, and he was given a tough direction with that promo too. Really tough. I mean, it was difficult for him to come across well, I thought, there, honestly. So it is what it is. They were dealt a tough hand, so you kind of cut them a little slack, but even still, this feels like the worst, in some ways, the worst way to approach it, right? It's just going back to square one. So this whole thing's been a mess, so it's fitting this followed suit. At least we got Sting. The 8-man tag will probably actually be a lot of fun, but do I really care? Not particularly. But then again, I am recording this podcast segment, so I guess there's like a minimum amount I have to care to be doing this. So shout out to Sting. Back to you, Mon.
Beautiful insight as always from.
Yo, did Joe just break kayfabe and say that he was recording this?
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, Showtime Spurs, $5. Jericho could steal Sammy's child and he'd forgive him a month later. I mean, the kayfabe in AEW makes us. That's not crazy to think that, you know.
Bro, you know the nastiest part? AEW is going to tell us to get invested in another Jericho and Sammy breakup down the line. No, I'm not going to do that, bro. Like, don't ever ask me to do that again. Yeah, literally just shake hands and part ways at this point. If they ever do break up, finally. Shake hands, part ways.
Yeah, like, yeah. Don Callis family stuff needs a complete, like, rethink. The Jericho stuff is, you know, it's crazy how more and more people are getting, like, sucked into that vortex, you know? Yeah. It lacks like a clear direction with a destination that can be seen as like a good goal for the company to be wanting to achieve, you know.
Yeah.
I just don't get it, bro.
It's all like Jericho's feuds are a lot like Pokemon, bro. Like, and it's like they're fighting against Team Rocket every single week. Somebody wins. Team Rocket blasts off. Next week, oh god damn it, it's Team Rocket again. Like there's no end. Like it doesn't matter what kind of match they had. They had the fight like a Dragon Street fight, which you would think would be a feud ender. Wasn't. Went right back to being like Golden Jets were still on your ass. So I don't know. Like there's nothing for fans to look forward to here. There's no point where we're like, oh, when this finally happens, so and so will get their just desserts, or the Don Callis family will finally beat the Golden Jets or whatever, and then everybody could part ways and do bigger and better things. There's no like it's an issue with a lot of Jericho's feuds in AEW recently. Like, they just keep going and going and going,
It's
and
not a
you have no
recent
clue when they're
thing.
gonna stop.
It's definitely not a recent thing.
Hey man, when
Several few days ever had.
not too much on Big Ocho, but
Listen, man,
yeah.
it's getting
tough.
brutal. It's so brutal.
You heard Joe, you know.
Exactly.
It's tough, you know. Hush, $2, appreciate you. Can't wait for this This Is Jericho's Baby storyline. Fucking
yo, that would be so disgusting. Breaking news, hot off the presses.
okay.
All-Star 8-man tag announced for World's End.
Nope.
On the heel side, we have Roosh, Jay Lethal, Jay White, and Brody King. Again, so you're gonna pop these names on the babyface side now, Monty. I'm gonna save your favorite for last. We have Danny Garcia, Claudio Castagnoli, the American Dragon Bryan Danielson, and Mark Briscoe. I'm mad for it, bro. I mean, yeah, obviously it's something that's hobbled together, but I'm here for it. Get these guys on the card.
I've just looked at the flyer and it literally says All-Star 8-man tag.
Yeah, that's what I said. Just All-Star 8-man tag, bro.
We do love an All-Star 8-man tag on this channel. We talk about them an awful lot.
All-Star. So yeah, it's just the Continental Classic guys, really, isn't it?
Yeah, just the CC
Which is a
guys.
good idea to do. This is a very New Japan thing to do, to be honest.
It is.
It is a good idea.
Japan.
Yeah, it is
Very,
very New
very
Japan.
New
I like
Japan.
it because these guys are going to be punished for not getting on the pay-per-view when they just committed too much of their career to wrestling every week and get like become the building blocks of the CC and shit. So get them on the pay-per-view.
Tagging with the
BCC.
Blackpool Combat Club, Mark Briscoe.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's could be an interesting dynamic there.
See this go somewhere.
Yeah. I think that this could be something that you could. Obviously, the Daniel Garcia thing that I just mentioned that obviously kind of would write itself, especially when you're dealing with talents that are involved in this. I'm sure they can figure out something to start something for Daniel Garcia coming out of this. Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal are in there. Jay White. My mate, other than this obviously being a good match, my hope for that 8-man tag does lead to something, especially because that's kind of the thing, and it's like he's just thrown the graphic up, and it's like, okay, why? But the talent's so good, you're not really going to question it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in reality, you should probably question it. So I'll let it slide if it leads to something.
I didn't even notice, but in the tweet, he acknowledges that these are the CC guys. He's like, fighters from the inaugural Continental Classic Clash at World's End this Saturday, which I think is a good idea. Not everybody could get a story coming out of not everybody could get a pay-per-view worthy story coming out of the CC. So get them on the card.
So even Swerve, he lost in the semi-final yesterday, and it's like this isn't like a story coming out of his Continental Classic.
Yes.
It's just a story from 18 months ago, whenever it was.
Literally.
So
what a lineup!
Yeah, man, that should be a really good one. It could be very, very good, to be honest. So
Roosh teaming with Jay White is just a fascinating dynamic to me. I'm very excited to see how that goes.
The boys.
Roosh teaming with any of those guys.
The boys, man. Right, where was we in the Dynamite review? Do we have any more super chats? No. Okay. Callis family segment. Joe Hulbert has given his live take via satellite. Roderick Strong backstage segment. He's been knee deep in planning and figuring out how MJF is in fact the devil. He's got this big board with all these like strings and scribblings and pictures all over it, like he's in fucking Law and Order or something.
It's very reminiscent of how I plan out Elite Law.
I have seen your graphs and your diagrams for that, so it was very similar. But anyway, Roddy Strong and the Kingdom, they're super, super convinced that MJF is the devil. They're trying to convince everyone that he's the devil. Don't really think many people are buying it, but Roddy he's trying to stand on business. And I'm getting very tired of this Roddy stuff. Very, very tired. Don't know how much more I can take, Charlie.
I've been over it. I have been over this for a while now, but hopefully the end is in sight and something will come of it on Saturday at World's End, but who fucking knows at this point? We could still be doing this by Revolution, by the standard of AEW storylines sometimes, but God hope that we don't. So
My hope is, let's be honest, it's probably going to go to Revolution. You know, like I doubt it's going to be like we're going to do the big reveal at World's End, and then that's the story. You know, like it's going to continue to at least the next pay-per-view. You would assume, but I do hope that they do kind of like make it, you know, more real and more like authentic feeling once it is revealed who it is. Because once you've revealed who it is, you can kind of just drop all the devil stuff. You know, people don't have to be dressed up in mask. You don't have to do these. You don't have to do these booky messages. You don't have to do X, Y, and Z anymore to like make it.
Just have a real professional wrestling program.
Yeah, just a real feud. Like, I did this to you, Max, because X, Y, and Z, and these are my selfish reasons, or whatever the fuck they are, and you just build a feud from that, and you kind of strip it back to the bare bones again. You know. You know, and Max might take some time off. If that's the case, then obviously the Devil and that group will have to play a very big part with like the Samoa Joe stuff, blah 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 blah. So, yeah, I just hope they kind of use World's End as an excuse to kind of just like, all right, let's just leave this in the past, you know. We'll see. Yeah, Roddy's building his conspiracy theories. Yeah, I just want to see him wrestling and doing what he does best, people. You know,
I'll be a lot less spiteful about this if you one, get the world title away from this nonsense, and then two, hard pivot from all this devil stuff, like you said, like take off the mask, stop like the neck strong stuff, like just be like let Roddy be the wrestling machine, let whoever the devil is. I mean, I think we all know who the devil is. Let him just be a real heel. Like all this spooky, hokey nonsense, like all that, just throw it out the window. It's over. Dudes unmasked. Just be heels that do bad stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. All right. Now we're peaking. We're peaking here now because AEW Dynamite. The next thing up is the Blue League final in the Continental Classic. He's Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson, who already had a really great match earlier on in his Continental Classic. And the meet again here, of course, Bryan Danielson got the upper hand and won last time. He held up the sign, calling Eddie a bum. And that kind of, you know, that led into what the story of this match was. That Bryan Danielson is this, you know, condescending, looks down on Eddie Kingston, doesn't think Eddie's good enough, thinks Eddie's a bum, thinks Eddie's useless, he's never beaten him in his life, and he never will. And Eddie, instead of just kind of letting that, you know, letting that trigger him and let him be kind of his normal, erratic, flying off the handle Eddie Kingston self, he's used that energy to kind of fuel him throughout this tournament. And obviously, evidently, he's got him to the Blue League final, and evidently had eventually led to him defeating Bryan Danielson. I thought they'd done a really good job of kind of like telling that story. Eddie embracing it, calling himself the king of the bums, the king of the underdogs, the king of the fighters, you know. And I thought that, like, even like, narratively telling that story is really good, but I thought they'd done a good job of telling that story throughout the match of like Bryan Danielson starting off with like the leg kicks and hiding behind the ropes and stuff like that, and trying to like trigger Eddie, and Eddie weren't really biting on it too much. He was keeping his cool, and you know, eventually it developed into two dudes fighting for a spot in the final. And the crowd was really heated. The crowd was beyond Eddie because, of course, Bryan Danielson was excellent because, of course. And this was as great as I hoped and expected it to be. I loved this match because, of course, I did. Like I said, it is exactly as I hoped it would be. You know, beautiful pro wrestling. Eddie gets the win. He's facing Jon Moxley in the final. I also expect that to be a very beautiful experience for me. A lot to like about this. Like I said, Charlie, my personal, at least, peak of the show. I think a lot of people's as
Easily.
well.
By far.
Yeah.
You enjoyed that, Charlie?
I did. I love this. There will never be another like Eddie Kingston, and there will never be another like Bryan Danielson. And when you put them in the ring together, it's just magic, isn't it? Like, I don't know, they fucking killed it out there, and the crowd was so good here as well. Like, obviously, it's always going to be a hot crowd for this type of match because of who it is. But like, Bryan trying to get the Eddie as a bum chance going, and like the crowd resisting because of they're so behind Eddie all the time, and Bryan's crowd work in this was just incredible. And Eddie getting the win, it was just a great match. Like, it was always going to be a great match, but the atmosphere and everything building in it as well was just perfectly done. They really killed it. It was so good.
And yeah, just executed the way it's how wrestling's supposed to be done, isn't it, Al?
Mm-hmm.
It is, brother. That shit. That was beautiful last night. Eddie finally overcoming the American Dragon. Somebody who he admitted to, like, he never admitted that he liked Danielson. Like, he always used to shit on him or whatever. But in the post match promo last night, he admitted that, like, yeah, I always looked up to Bryan Danielson. I want people to look at me and think of me how they think of Bryan Danielson. That's somebody that I want to be like. And he finally overcame him last night, beat him clean, middle of the ring, to a power bomb. That shit. That was a great moment, honestly. Like, when you see Eddie Kingston succeed, it just hits different than when you see anybody else succeed in professional wrestling, bro. It just makes you feel. It makes you feel like you can accomplish real things too, bro.
Well,
like
Eddie
did it, I could do it too. Yeah, bro. Like somebody get what they deserve. That was real hoops last night. I always had Mox and Eddie in the finals. I assumed Mox was gonna go over. I might have to light the arena on fire if Mox goes over in the finals now, bro. I need Edward Kingston VI to be the first ever AEW Triple Crown champion, bro. I can't lie.
Yes, I think
we don't need any more pain and heartbreak for Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, I think he's had enough. Bro.
Especially with the face-to-face promo that they did. You know, like, because Moxie comes out after the match, and he checks on Danielson. Danielson rolls out. He's sweet. But yeah, him and Eddie come face to face, and just from like Moxie's energy and tone, it would be kind of weird for him to win. I think. But he is the story of Eddie Kingston, bro. Like, he never gets the perfect ending, you know. And that's it's part of the reason why he's so endearing to us as well. So it's like, it would be typical Eddie for him to lose this. But at the same time, it would be beautiful, wouldn't it, if he did?
It'd be so
if he gets the job done.
I think, bringing it back to how you were breaking down the Danielson match, it did show a lot of character development, because the way that Eddie loses, it's by his own devices a lot. Like, he becomes a hothead, reverts to old Eddie, whatever, kind of screws himself in the end. But this time he's like, nah, I'm not going to let Danielson throw me off my game. I'm going to keep my cool. I think that would be a really cool aspect to play into the finals as well. Mox knows him. They have a friendship going on almost 20 years now. Like, Mox tries to use those things to trigger Eddie, and Eddie doesn't fall for it. And he wins the other big one, like the big one. Because me personally, as long as AEW continues to treat it as such, I'm going to look at the Triple Crown as another world title in the promotion. I don't know if AEW, like, as long as AEW doesn't completely shit on the belts, like, I'm going to treat it as a world title. So if whoever wins this is going to be a big deal to me. So I think Eddie should finally be done with the setbacks, finally be done with, like, the lovable loser shtick. Like, just be one of the guys in AEW. Be one of the fucking guys. Beat Daniel, won his block. Beat Danielson. Beat John Moxley, and is a Triple Crown champion.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I just think as well. Yeah, like, as much as I really love Max, and as great as Max is, it's like, if you're gonna do the first AEW Continental Classic, it's like, I just think it would be weird to do that tournament in mind and be like, yeah, we're gonna have Max win the first one. Why? Do you know what I mean? Like, Max doesn't. I know it's a typical, like, it's almost like a cliche criticism for any, like, wrestling promotional booking, but, like, He doesn't need it.
No,
No,
he
he's a
doesn't.
main man.
But
I guess people would be like, well, that would make the tournament, but so would Eddie winning. That would make the tournament even more.
I think a special moment with Eddie winning would make the tournament. But I do see the argument for Mox winning. 3-time AEW World Champion, help establish the belts. Somebody that'll travel to anywhere TK sends him to defend these titles. But so will Eddie. But this is just the argument for Mox. Like he'll go to New Japan strong. He'll go to New Japan proper. He'll defend these belts over there and shit. And he's already a star in New Japan. It's not like they're sending over somebody that they don't know. He's a star in his own right in Japan. So, but Eddie, every time Eddie's pulled up, like he's been over. Like he was over for the strong shows. He was over for the G1. So
Eddie's
I don't think you could.
Wherever he goes.
I'm not gonna be upset with whoever wins, but I'm flipping my switch. I'm flipping my pick from Mox. I think Eddie should win this one.
I love Monk so much. I might be a little bit upset if he wins. I'm so all in on Eddie winning this.
Yeah. And that's kind of, I think that'll be the point, though, if they do go in that direction. They'll make it as heartbreaking as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the primary interaction between Mutt's kind of talking about like last time the face each other, he choked him out and he let him off easy, and he's not going to let him off easy this time. But he's kind of like talking down to him a little bit, and like Kingston stops that in his tracks, and he's like, "Bro, you're my senpai." He's like, "I broke him before you. I'm your senpai."
Stop all this young boy shit, bro.
Yeah, he's like, cut all that shit out, bro. I'm your senpai. You're lucky I let you breathe or something like that. Yeah, Eddie's awesome, bro. Eddie's awesome. Max is awesome. Bryan Danielson's awesome. A lot of good wrestlers in this company, and I like it when they wrestle each other and they do good stuff with each other, So,
facts.
Joe Hulbert, the Eddie Kingston. You are Mr. Eddie Kingston, aren't you, Joe Hulbert? I'm sure you love this one, didn't you, mate?
God almighty, what a match. What a match. I co-sign everyone's praise of this one. An experience, special one for sure, one that will live long in the memory, I think. Probably one of the best TV matches of the year, in fact. But this whole series is kind of like a study, right? Like kind of an exploration of Eddie Kingston, the wrestler, the character. And this was the payoff to that story. In the first two matches, he flipped Dragon off, but ultimately conceded and went out on his shield defiantly, but still a loser nonetheless. And in this match, they almost told a story where Bryan got caught playing that game. He got caught trying to break Eddie rather than beat him. He was trying to break him mentally. I saw Joseph Montesio pointed out earlier that, the moment in the ad break where the people come up with those Eddie chants, I tweeted the clip. It's kind of like the point where Bryan knows it's going to be different this time around. And I love that as a kind of piece of the match. I think that's awesome. So they told an incredible story, as these two generally do. The physicality is always there. Eddie seems to whack Bryan harder than anyone. Bryan relishes the chance to play bully. I mean, they're just a magic wrestling pairing. I've loved all their stuff, and this was no different. Really did feel triumphant as Eddie got over the line there. So wonderful, wonderful stuff. Pretty powerful, honestly. And then you have that post-match, which is really, kind of everything that I think a lot of us want AEW to be, right? And it was a reminder of that great segment these two had in 2020. Eddie and Mox, that is. Fiery, passionate, intense, personal. It really doesn't get any better than this. So, wonderful match. Probably the best of the tournament for me, I think. I'm going to just ponder that for a second, because I'm probably forgetting something obvious that's about to be brought up as soon as I hit stop on this video. Or as soon as it stops playing for you anyway. This is actually hours before you're watching it. But nonetheless, my God, what a match. What a match.
Keep kayfabe,
the Mad King, Eddie Kingston. I think he's pretty good person. I don't know what anyone else thinks. I mean, Dragon's okay, but the Mad King, God bless him. Back to you, Monty.
Oh, Joe, yeah. It's such a way with words, even though Joe can't be with us as on screen right now in the traditional sense, he's still producing some good graps analysis,
Well, that was so good. I thought he was actually talking to me. I forgot that, he was in here via satellite for a second.
Thought he was in the room, brother.
Yeah.
Real professional.
Yeah, it was It's tremendous. Best match of the tournament.
I'd have to see all the matches laid out because I feel like every time Bryan Danielson wrestles, I'm like, oh my god, match of the tournament.
Yeah.
So I gotta actually like see all these matches down, and
Yeah, it probably is.
it's definitely up there though. It's definitely up there.
Probably is. I can.
Top 5.
You know, I can. Yeah. Eddie Garcia was good. Brian Brody was tremendous. Yeah, it probably is match of the tournament. You know, it probably is. Anyways, ignore me going through my spreadsheet. Eddie versus Brian, tremendous stuff. All right, sit down interview with Christian Cage and Adam Edge Copeland. Yeah, Christian Cage was waiting around. We saw clips throughout the show of Christian Cage waiting around for Adam Copeland. Like, yo, why is he keeping me waiting? I'm the champ. I'm this, I'm that, and he's just doing Christian Cage shtick, you know, that we all know and love. And eventually, this is obviously, as you can tell, quite far into the show. Finally, Adam Copeland is finally in the building. We're told before the ad break, goes to ad break, come back, and as soon as Adam Edge enters the room, kicking off, brother. He's kicking off. He's to start brawling immediately. Adam Copeland kind of beating his ass for a bit and throws him outside of the interview room, and they're just kind of brawling around. And all wrestlers and security are coming to split them out. Brian Keith and the Von Erichs come out to split it up.
That popped me huge, bro.
Yeah.
Just all the young boys. It's very funny.
I've decided that all my past wrestling knowledge of what I think the Von Erichs are is out the window, and I'm going to judge them all on their AEW and ROH merit. And it's been pretty decent, bro. Like, there's nothing to complain about so far. So I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for the Von Erichs. I'm happy to see that they're touring with AEW right now. Happy to see Brian Keith's touring with AEW too.
Yeah, shout out Brian Keith.
Yeah, man. Seems like they're on the road, which is promising signs if you are a fan of them. And I know a lot of us are fans of Brian Keith. Then obviously a lot of us are very much fans of the Von Erich family name, you know. And I think a lot of people in wrestling just want to see Ross and Marshall do well, you know. So like I said, so far so good for them. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully they do. Stay on the road with AEW, same with Brian Keith, especially Brian Keith, to be honest. I think there is something there with him. Definitely does bring something to the table, at least. Anyway, what did you think of this brawl, man? What did you think of this brawl, Christian Cage and Adam Edge?
Look, it wasn't the greatest pull apart segment of all time, but it popped me huge. I liked it. I like this program when Mama Wayne's not the centerpiece of it. I'm excited for the match. They've definitely got me more excited for the match. I just remember that it was no DQ, which would definitely be interesting considering Edge is outnumbered here like 5-1 when it comes to people that are willing to come out and attack him on Christian's behalf. But it should be good. I think Edge is going over here. Is that the right call? I don't know. I don't know if that's the right call. Does he need to be TNT champion? I don't think so. But Christian's been killing it. He's been carrying around the belt since June, May, and then he won it. He won it officially like August, September. So yeah, I don't know. He's had his run. We'll see what Edge does with it. It'll be an excuse for Edge to have all those matches that he said he wanted to have with all those guys on the roster. TNT Open Challenger, whatever. But we'll see. I'm excited for the match. Segment did his job.
Well, yeah. Like you were just saying, it is an excuse for kind of, if he does win the belt, of course, it is an excuse for Copeland to have the dream matches and kind of tick off his list in AEW. And that is one of the things that we did here, was like one of the things like why they were considering doing this title change in the first place. So if it does come to fruition, I guess it does work in that sense, you know. Dream match Copeland, you know. But yeah, Charlie, what did you think of the angle, brawl, whatever we're calling it, segment?
I thought it was alright, yeah. It was just a decent little angle. It did put me seeing like all the young guys back there just involved in this little brawl, like trying to do the pull apart. It taken like 7 of them to try and hold back Copeland, and Christian just disappeared around the corner. pop me huge, but yeah, it was decent. I've enjoyed this program like throughout its little runtime in AEW. I don't know whether I'd put the belt on Edge at the moment, but like I just said, if it's a chance for him to do his little dream match tour, then go for it. I guess he's gonna have some decent matches with it, and hopefully he'll drop it to someone and make a star out of them. So you can hope for something like this. So.
Yeah, there's a. This is one of those matches where I'm actually I wouldn't be. I can definitely see a lot of positives for either result. You know, obviously we just kind of expanded a bit more on like the Adam Copeland side of things because that would be the total change. But if Christian wants to retain again versus Edge, like this reign has been great. You know, he's brought life back to the title again, and obviously Christian Cage is. You could absolutely argue the form of his career. You know, so. And Christian Cage has had a very good career, you know. You don't say that lightly. So he's been great. So honestly, I can see the positives either way. He goes at World's End. This is different. Okay, so Sky Blue versus Chris Statlander. I mean, they're kind of just having a match. Really, it wasn't really anything particularly special or offensive, in my opinion. But in the end, Julia Hart gets involved. Hits Chris Statlander with a belt shot. And Sky Blue pins Chris Statlander with the help of Julia Hart. And to be honest,
definitely a very interesting decision.
Terrible decision in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Chris Statlander. Look. Julia Hart is really hot right now. She's spiking ratings like crazy. She's young. She's athletic. Company's behind her. Fans are behind her. Would I have had her pin Chris Statlander? No. But I understand why it happened. That doesn't mean everybody just goes running around pinning Chris Statlander. She should be one of the most protected people in the company. She should be one of the most protected people in the world. Bro, I don't think that this needs to be something that needs to be told to AEW. I don't need her seeing her getting pinned on random Dynamites in December, bro. Stop doing that. Don't want to watch that.
Well, when did Chris Statlander last lose a singles match, bro?
Let me see.
And this is who we're giving it to. You know, like.
It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, it's not an interesting choice, Charlie. It's just bad. It's just bad. We're about to go into the MJF Samoa Joe segment, so if you want to keep that time,
and the thing is,
get warmed up.
It would be like one thing if like Sky Blue is her own woman right now, but she's not. She's a TBS Champions weed carrier.
Yeah, I don't.
So that makes it even worse, bro. Like you're still under Julia Hart. Like,
and it's not like they're going to put to Sky versus Julia right now. They've literally just put them together. Like
they just put them together. So if they break them up in 2 weeks, or even by the next pay-per-view cycle, it's just like, why? Why do we do all this?
I mean, it's very AEW to do, but
I don't get it, bro. Like,
and not the Abaddon thing. Yeah. It's like
I don't want to get spiteful about Abaddon, bro, but
no, it's not even like, bro. It's inherently fucking wacky as fuck because you know she's the fucking living dead girl or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
You know she's a zombie. They're a zombie. Excuse me, my bad. They're a zombie. So it's like, you know, it's already wacky as fuck anyway. You know, but I just think like even from like the storyline was like Abaddon had a few matches on TV, and Julia Hart would just appear in the ring. Like, interested in her. And then puts the belt down in front of her after this happens.
It's like actually we're wrestling.
Then when Abaddon wants the belt, Julia Hart then scurries off and like, well, what is happening here? You know?
I don't get it.
Even if you ignore, like, forget they're a zombie. Sorry again. forget they're a zombie and like the really wacky out there. Like, you say it's just a normal wrestler, you know, like it still don't make no fucking sense. Like, it don't make no sense, Charlie.
Like, just welcome to the women's division, because this is how it's been booked
Fair.
since the beginning. Like,
Very
this is
fair.
nothing new, which is why I don't get upset about it anymore, which is unfortunate, because I used to get super frustrated, but you just kind of got to roll with the punches. At least they're using more women on TV. That's one positive we can take out of
Willow
this.
made a save.
Is it who we
you know?
want? Maybe not, but... Also, Chris Statlander should be going for the women's world title right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, but she should not still be.
She should be not not slumming around. And
Julia and everything she's doing and like the work she's put in, but like Chris should have dropped that belt and immediately moved on. Like
she should have like elevated by losing, not losing the title to someone who's admittedly hot, no matter how we feel about it. And then now she's getting pinned by her weed carrier. That's insane.
Crazy.
That's insane, bro.
Bad, man. It's just bad.
I'm sorry, bro. Abaddon, they worked very hard. Has worked very hard getting themselves into better shape. Apparently is in open ring all the time trying to get better. Was taking advice how to tweak their character so it could be a more weekly television oriented character. But I think they're the drizzling shits, bro. Like, just because you work hard doesn't mean I gotta watch you. There are plenty of kids that bust their ass every day trying to make it to the NBA or NFL. But if they're not good enough, they're not good enough. And that doesn't mean that I have to pretend like they're good enough. Like, no, bro. No. You shouldn't have a pay-per-view singles match. This is bad. Especially now against somebody who's as green as not Sky Blue, Julia Hart. Is she getting better? Yes. Can she be the lead in a singles match on pay-per-view with Abaddon? No. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, the stat thing really triggered me. I can't lie. It's just, as you've already mentioned, like, it should have been like, okay, she drops the belt and now she's moving on to bigger things. And to be honest, it's kind of what her reign deserved, because her reign wasn't given a lot of like featured focus or spotlight or anything.
No.
But despite that, when she was given opportunities to have good matches on TV, she delivered without fail. To the point where it became, she was like, yeah, the division sucks, but at least stat is X, Y, and Z, you know? And she became one of the bright lights of the division when there was really not a lot great to talk about, you know? She was doing a thing. And, like I always said, she shouldn't be like, you drop the belt and it should be like, all right, move on to bigger things now, you know? Not stay in the same, you know, Julia Hart verse and then get pinned by her assumed friend that isn't her a friend, that is
like what, bro?
What are we doing, bro? Then from a Sky Blue point of view, it's like, as I always said, it's not like it's elevated her really, because it's like she's still Julia Hart's weed carrier, as he says. You know, so I just
and then the homie Cashmere Woods in the comments said, "Where's Willow, bro? Willow is from Long Island, not on the pay-per-view. Chris Statlander is from Long Island, not on the pay-per-view. Maybe TK will announce something that he cobbled together, like
they'll
Willow
get that
and,
0
I don't know. They get this, but they should, bro. It's Long Island. These are two very over acts, two very good workers in the women's division. Why are they not in featured feuds? I don't get it, bro.
Super weird.
I do kind. It's a bit dramatic, you know, but like I do think that the effort and attention to detail in the AEW women's division is quite like an embarrassment to women's wrestling, to be honest. A lot of people, kind of like reviewers, critics, and just kind of fans in general, have said like it's pretty clear that like this isn't kind of like, when Tony was thinking, I'm a billionaire that wants to start this promotion with the Elite, Cody Rhodes and Co. I don't think he was like sitting.
He was not thinking of who he's going to build his women's division about.
Dreaming about like, this is what I'm going to do for women's wrestling in America. I feel it almost felt like, definitely feels like it was more of like an obligation that he felt like he had to do. And you know, we've seen it over like the years now, where it's like it'll get criticized, and then he'll throw us a bone, you know, which the cliche now is like, we'll put the belt on Shida, you know?
Yeah.
We'll put the belt on Shida.
That'll get the marks to shut up. Throw the belt on Shida.
And then it will spiral into something. Then obviously you kind of got a light at the end of the tunnel, I guess, if you just want to see them featured. You're not really particular with how you want it done. With the Tony Storm stuff. Because Timeless Tony Storm thing is apparently something that Tony Khan is really into, and he really wants to do a lot of stuff with it. And obviously the Mariah May element of it, obviously potentially a future star. So, like, you know, I guess there is that positive there. But it's like the rest of the division and all the storytelling and the focus it gets. It's just like, why even bother, bro? Like,
look,
and I love women's wrestling. I want to see
right
more
now.
of it. I don't want to see it fall off one of the big company shows. But like, why even bother if this is the garbage you're gonna do, bro? Like,
I'll be honest. I don't.
Right now is just ridiculous.
I don't hate what's going on with the world title. I know it's not for Monty at all.
I don't hate
Timeless Tony Storm pops me huge. Unfortunately, I'm glad that she's not working like a dickhead anymore and is like actually wrestling while still incorporating the gimmick, because that aspect of it was unwatchable. And the silent movies and Tony working like a dickhead, it was really bad. But I liked everything else with that. And they're kind of going away. They went away from both of those. So I'm locked in on Timeless Tony Storm. But everything that he said with the TBS and like the attention to detail in general and all of that, he's right, bro. He's right. And niggas and people and when you criticize the women's division, people always think, oh, but what about WWE? They just had a SmackDown with no women's matches or whatever they say about WWE. Bro, I don't watch WWE, bro. So I don't care what they got going on over there. If you see me fed bad tweet, it's to pop myself and to pop my followers. I don't actually care, bro. Like I like AEW. I want everything AEW does to be great. You feel me? So I actually care about that. That's why I criticize it fairly.
Yeah.
Just ass.
And I know we're not supposed to like talk about comments that like aren't super chats and stuff, but this is something that annoys me no matter what. Like promote, like the NXT people be like, oh, 30 women on NXT last night. It's like, yeah, bro, but all the matches fucking sucked and they didn't do anything interesting. So I'm not gonna be like a dozen women featured in AEW. That's good because a lot of people are on screen. It's not good because a lot of people are on screen. Just like men's wrestling isn't good because they put a lot of people on screen. You're just putting people on screen.
It's the same as the stopwatch fans, isn't it? When people are like, well, there's this amount of wrestling and this many minutes and seconds, so this is the better show. Like that isn't how it works. And in the same way, I always say, the amount of women being featured on the show isn't an indicator of how good they're featured and how good stuff is that the featuring is. You know, it doesn't mean that the storylines are any more focused. It doesn't really mean anything other than they're on the show, you know, and the criticism isn't that they're not on the show. So yeah, in answer to that, you know, yeah, he's garbage, man. He's garbage, you know. I love me some women's wrestling. I love US women's wrestling when it hits as well. It's not like I love women's wrestling when all you see me tweet about is fucking Stardom or anything like that. Like, also, obviously, I love all that as well because it's really high level, great stuff, you know. But you know, when US women's wrestling is hitting, I love that as well, you know.
You raved about Jamie versus what happened.
Yeah. Like AEW has writers now. Just find someone who will be genuinely passionate about the women's division. Tell them how much time they have every week, how many segments. Make it a fair amount of time. I'm not saying they need a whole hour or whatever. Even if they just only have like 20 minutes a week, 15 and like 5 somewhere else or whatever. Just let somebody run that and let them run it well, and people will get off your dick, TK. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah, I wish I got the impression that like it felt like there was someone who books the women. Like, say for example, like because I was using him as an example because we're friendly with him and we know him. But say if Tony just went, Will Washington, obviously I'm talking about. Will, you book the women's division now. That is your focus. Like that is what you do for me in AEW as part of the creative. You book the women's division. Give me some good stuff. I'll see you next week. You know,
Yeah.
and Will's fucking up till 4 a.m. in the morning writing fucking storylines and getting inspired and assessing what he's got to work with, you know, and that would eventually, you would hope, come through on screen, you know, like the effort and the focus and the depth to the storylines, because what's going on at the minute is just not. It's not for me, mate. But what do I know? Super chats. That's what I know. Custodian Lexus King 499. Appreciate you as always. I'd rather be here at NXT than have anything to do with the Devil program or the Don Callis family program. Well,
I was scrolling through the timeline. I see Big Lexus King already bagged himself a PC baddie, bro.
He moved
wait,
quick.
What?
It's bro. I don't know who she is.
Crazy.
I think she's still like in the PC, but yeah, bro. It's crazy, bro. Lexus King's bagged himself a PC baddie. They should honestly just write these part of the contracts, bro. He did it, bro. He got the Fed contract. He got his PC baddie. He did it. He's living the dream.
She didn't do a background check on him, you know. Didn't know what he's really about.
Oh, crying.
Yeah.
He told her that Lexus King was his shoot name, so she didn't even think to look up Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah. Lysis Strata, new super chat, $5. I'm sorry, but I need a hard cap on how many chops Eddie can throw per match. I mean, it is excessive, but it does pop me, you know. It does pop me. Shots on Spurs. WrestlePurists hating on spooky women like it's the Salem witch trials crying face. I mean, maybe. No.
Look,
I don't hate spooky women.
Bro, I hate all spooky things in wrestling, bro. I did like The Fiend. I liked The Fiend at first until they buried it. I never really liked Malachi Black's spooky nonsense after the Cody feud. After that, I was just like over it. Yeah, spooky stuff in wrestling is not for me. I wasn't an Undertaker kid growing up. I respected him as a wrestler, but I was never like, oh my god, this is awesome. Look at the lightning. Like, that was never me, bro.
Undertaker was a bit of me.
Taking house, my nigga.
I'm telling you, brother.
My nigga.
But yeah, there's a slight typo here that Shortown Spurs does correct later on. He says, this is meant to say, I don't have a problem with Stat losing, to be honest. Are they going to put Stokely with Stat? Interesting. Could be gold.
I don't think Stokes getting put with any either of them. I think he's just being used as like a tool of like discord between Willow and Stat, and then he's just gonna go do his Stokely things. I don't know. We're gonna see.
Him and Stat just have beef, and it's just very, very funny. They're just funny together.
But yeah, that angle, wasn't a the angle match, the general booking of this Julia Hart verse, and she won the title. That's what's annoying to me, because like she was winning matches and building momentum, and people were really getting behind her. And we didn't need to do all this like wrestle crap. Then she wins the bout, and like
stops wrestling.
Personally, I would have kept the bout on Stat because I thought she was doing so well with it. But I understand the decision because Julia Hart she undeniably did get hot, and it's not like it's not like it was going against the tide to put the belt on Julia Hart, you know. But nonetheless, she wins the belt. She's peaking or whatever you want to call it. You know, she's flying. She's on an upward trajectory, and then they do all like the wrestle crap stuff, and it's like, why? You know, like
they have this just really unfortunate habit of stopping them having matches after they win the belts and stuff. It's like, bro, we got behind her because she was wrestling. Like,
people like Julia got over it with more people on Twitter because she was showing her improvement. She showed her top rope moonsault that was awesome. She was showing her character work in the ring and stuff. Like, people always like patted her on the back for being able to switch over to the spooky girl that walked around with House of Black or whatever. But they weren't like, oh yeah, future the division or whatever. But they really got behind her because of her wrestling. So then she got hot. She was popping huge quarters on Collision, wins the title, and then it's just, I don't know, following around Abaddon and Sky Blue.
Yes, yeah, but it's not what got Julia Hart to the dance in that sense, So I don't know why you would change the approach to Julia Hart's push when you win the belt so much, I don't know. Joe, what did you think of the Chris Statlander Sky Blue?
And AO's on fire tonight, but tough placement on this, but I did think it over-delivered, honestly. Not to overstate it as some classic or anything, but I do think this was another example of Sky Blue's steady improvement. I get the frustration with the TV usage. I understand it. I sympathize, but I got to be honest, the big part of me is like, at least they're committing to a talent and saying this is someone that we want to get over and want to make a TV player of. Whether it's the right choice or not is a different debate for another day, in which I'm not doing a pre-recorded video. But I do think for her part of it, she is improving steadily, and I think she's having some pretty decent matches. This time here, obviously, she was kind of positioned to succeed because Chris Statlander is really the most consistent worker in that division, perhaps, at this point. I mean, she's one of the most consistent workers in the whole promotion, if we're being real, in terms of actually bringing the effort and physicality every time out. She's just terrific. So I would have had a pretty nice match. The finish was terrifying. Speaking of the finish, I would really prefer Chris Statlander not lose to Sky Blue. But I can see Monty rolling his eyes, but totally halfway business on the horizon. So you take what you can get in these situations. All in all, pretty positive on this, even if they had an awful tough placement here having to follow Dragon and King. So I would have done a pretty good job, all things considered. So back to you, Monty.
Appreciate it, Joe. Professional as always.
Ever the positive one.
Yeah. He's
Someone had to
always
be the high man on the match.
The match itself was fine. Like I said, I don't think the match was bad. Or
Yeah, I don't think the match was shambolic or anything like that. It was fine. Sky Blue is improving, even though I don't think she's where she needs to be for the amount of TV exposure she gets. But I think Statlander is sensational. Like, I think she's one of the best women's wrestlers alive. So it would be tough to go out there and really have a stinker with her. So the match quality there is not the issue for me.
Yeah, so the match quality itself was fine, Joe, obviously, I'd still say Joe was the high man on it, but the match quality was fine. It's just more so my rant anyway was more rooted in kind of the overall general booking of the division. It's like the Thunder Rosa thing, bro. It's like, I know it's a tired thing, and everyone who's listening has probably heard myself or another podcaster say this, probably like. That's like your ex-women's world champion who never lost the belt in the ring, who was in tears when she gave it up, had a good connection with the audience. While she's been injured, she's been still dedicating her time to the company by doing the Spanish commentary, whilst being there live and stuff like that, traveling with yous and doing all X, Y, and Z. She's had a name dragged through the fucking mud by other talent in the company and shit. And she stayed resilient through it and just kind of kept her head down, blah, 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 blah. And you bring her back in, you don't give her any like promo time so she can kind of give a reasoning on why she isn't going for the title or anything like that. You don't really give her like a super focused singles feud that people would want to see. You just kind of throw her into this Julia Hart Abaddon verse. She's randomly
what are we doing here?
Making a save for Abaddon, like why?
Especially when Punk was allowed to do the real world championship. And I'm not saying rehash the storyline by any means, but you just see the lack of the inequality here. Punk was allowed to do the real world championship thing because he had to give up his belt with injury. And AEW was basically sanctioning these world title matches with a fake championship belt. Like Tony Khan was tweeting about them. There was match graphics for them. They were calling them real world championship matches on commentary and stuff. And then Thunder Rosa returns in very similar circumstances. And again, I'm not saying rehash the storyline, but she's getting thrown into a mid-card tag match or whatever. Like, it's just like she's not on the pay-per-view. Why bring her back like this? Like, she's been saying she's ready for like almost 100 days at this point. Like, I think at least since what, Monty? Like July, August? She's just like, I'm waiting for a phone call. Yeah, like since August, she was like, I'm just waiting for a phone call. This what you called her for?
Crazy, bro. And
she should have just come out with Punk's belt. Just don't
I'll touch
acknowledge
on
it.
this real quick. These are hard regular super chat. Thunder Rosa is not a talker, Monty. Fair enough. She's not she's not the Britt Baker talker of the division or anything like that. But my point is that like she was a big part of the division, your ex-women's champion. Like she should be able to kind of like explain her thought process or at least where she's at coming back. Like it was a big part of the division coming back. Like at least let her kind of announce herself back into the division. Is she going to let her talk about giving up the title and how she didn't lose the title in the ring, and if she's going to go for that again one day or immediately? You know, do kind of a what's it called? A mission statement. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah, man. I just think just because she's not fucking MJF on the mic doesn't mean that she shouldn't be allowed to at least try and get her like narrative and story or pathway she's going to be going on coming forward, especially when she was such a big part of the division, bro. She was literally the world champion. And as far as it goes on the mic, I actually do think she's a competent talker. I don't think she's like a brutal promo or anything like that. I don't think her promos come across awkward or anything like that. But yeah, I think she should be given the chance to kind of not tell a story per se, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, at least give us something, you know? She's been gone for a long time.
Like 18 months. Like
a long time, bro. Big part of the division, women's champion. He never lost the belt. It's like
it was like what summer in 2022. Like
that's a big deal,
I'm not the biggest on Rosa with the mic, but still, world champion. She should have the opportunity. Like, if you really think she's a drizzling shit on the mic, I don't think she is. I don't think she's particularly good. Then let her sit down with Renee. Renee always gets the best out of people with this. Like, let her live re-debut in a big spot, chase off a heel of actual importance or whatever. Just give her a good program live debut, and then the next week, Thunder Rosa sits down with Renee Paquette and she explains what her motivations are. She explains what she's back here to do. Explains what she's got going on, how much she's missed the fans or whatever. Good bit of business, bro. It's not hard.
It's not hard.
1 second. I'm just typing a message. But yeah,
I muted
yeah. Anyway, next segment. AEW Dynamite. Saraya and Ruby. We ain't quite got there yet, Charlie. Don't worry. Yeah, I can't even remember. Saraya's got Ruby a gift or something, and it was Harley Cameron who had a knife.
It's the big man.
I don't know what was going on here. Oh, here he is.
George made the town.
Via satellite again.
I've been here the whole time. I don't know what you're talking about. I've been here. I've finally made it to the studio.
We was trying to keep up kayfabe, but you broke kayfabe like twice.
Yeah, you broke kayfabe like 3 times on the recordings, bro.
Yeah. That's a serious allegation for another day. You know, sometimes I'll do bits. I was messing around about pre-recording, as we all know.
Oh, okay. I understand.
I mean, you could tell I was live by the way I would reference things that you guys have been saying on the show. You could tell. You know, spoke for itself,
they fit every single time too.
Really? Tremendous.
Yeah, it was very well done. It really caught me off guard when you nailed the fact that I had said the Jericho food was repetitive. He was just like, yeah, Charlie said it's been going in circles. I was like, whoa, I actually okay.
Well, the thing with that is I've kind of realised slowly that this show is just all of us repeating our tweets. Yes. So I could kind of pretty easily I could piece some stuff together, but it's been a hell of a time. We've had a great show thus far, and I'm here for the big segment. I know there's been a lot of talk that I'd skip this, which I find to be kind of disrespectful, to be honest. So here I am, folks.
Happy for you to be, in the room with us.
Yeah,
in the room.
Yeah, in the studio. In the studio we have here at WrestlePurists headquarters.
Would you like to address our good friend Jenny's question, John? Why did you take your hat off?
Actually, a very simple answer. I didn't wear headphones in those satellite messages. I didn't need to. So now that I have the headphones on, I feel a little bit uncomfortable. I never wear headphones over a hat, as everyone knows. I've never done that before. So, simple question, simple answer, Jenny. Appreciate the interest nonetheless.
All right, let's let's get to the meat and potatoes of this AEW Dynamite that everyone's been talking about, for better or for worse. Depends on what your tastes are.
Oh my god.
The Ring of Honor Tag Team Title match. MJF and Samoa Joe are booked to defend against the Devil's Masked Men. The Devil's Masked Men make their entrance to the ring. No music or anything. They come through the crowd all booky and spooky and whatever the fuck. MJF makes his entrance. He stands at the bottom of the ramp. He's waiting for Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's music plays, but Samoa Joe does not come out. Why? Because Samoa Joe has assumably been attacked backstage. He's backstage on the floor doing the Peter Griffin, holding his knee, selling it. MJF is like, fuck this. I'm still going to defend my titles because I am a babyface ace, and that's what babyface aces do. MJF, he gets in there with the Devil's Masked Men, and he fails to successfully defend the titles. And although it being through cheating and legs being held on the ropes and things of that nature, the Devil's Masked Men do walk away with the ROH tag titles. Then the Masked Men proceed to attack MJF after he has just lost. They're kicking the shit out of him, blah, blah, blah. Samoa Joe then comes out with a chair, limping, people trying to stop him, blah, blah, blah. Samoa Joe gets in the ring. He clears the ring out, and then, the Masked Men kind of go away. MJF and Samoa Joe are left in the ring with each other. Samoa Joe still got the chair. And then the Devil's face pops up on the Titantron, and a message that says, "Pleasure doing business with you." And Samoa Joe does a horror movie head tilt, and he he hits MJF with the steel chair, indicating and telling the audience that Samoa Joe has been working with the devil all along against MJF. Samoa Joe then annihilates MJF with the chair, and that is how we are going into World's End. MJF versus Samoa Joe for the AEW World title. Samoa Joe has been working with the devil the whole time. He has not been a honest, genuine bodyguard for Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Maxwell Jacob Friedman has been betrayed again. This is hopefully the last of these horse shitty devil lights off, devil popping up on the Titantron, messages being sent, masked men, bullshit angle that we get. Joe Hulbert, I'll let you go first since you're fresh, you're fresh. I've just gone on a rant. So.
On many things, fresh is not one of them, but nonetheless, where do you start with this is the question. I think that's kind of when I was trying to figure it out earlier. It's like I'd kind of reached I'd kind of just settled on where I could be with this. Like it's not really good, but still, it's Joe and MJF at the pay-per-view. It is what it is, so on and so forth. And none of us expected this to be good necessarily because, of course, like look at the graphic, it looks ridiculous. But I did think this was actually. There's levels to being like bad. I thought this was actually like really, really awful.
All time.
Because every piece of it was like a misstep of its own. Like the direction itself is a mistake, but even like someone mentioned this to me on Twitter, they may even be in the chat, I don't know. But like even the Joe of it, why did Joe have to do why couldn't Joe just not come out for his music? Why did you have to do the Peter Griffin thing to make it even more goofy than it already was? Like why the head tilt? Why do they keep having to do the Titantron things? Why do the Devils have like branded gear? Why was it the main
branded
event?
devil gear was crazy.
It's wild, bro. Why was it the main event? Why did they put it on at like literally the end of the 2-hour block, which was like a signal to the audience this is an absolute like waste of your time? They did a match that somehow like I thought kind of buried both parties because the Devils didn't. They pinned the world champ, but it was such a farce that it didn't even it didn't mean a thing, obviously. And they're the devil. Not even the Devils. They're the Devil's masked men. But then Max is getting pinned by those fellas. And he's like, does that matter? Not really, but still. I mean, it's not ideal, really, right? Considering the circumstances and the time. All of it is bad in its own way. And I say it's not so I expect it to be good. I was very frustrated last night, more than I'm comfortable being with wrestling at this point in my life. I don't like to be frustrated or really upset about wrestling. With that being said, this actually annoyed me because it just dawned on me that, like, I don't care about a Samoa Joe World title match. Like,
Incredible
do you know how
place
hard
for
that
Joe
is?
Holbrook to be.
Literally look behind me. Like, do you know how hard that is to do? So it's like, and worst of all, it didn't need to be this way because we've seen what these two can do with wrestling promos in a wrestling feud. So it's kind of been driving me nuts, honestly. It's like total unforced error. They could just be selling a fight that has, real gravity and importance, and instead their match is not even important because it's about the devil, which is almost certainly Adam Cole. So you've made a Samoa Joe MJF World Title match about Adam Cole, which I'm sorry, maybe I'm biased. I don't know. I don't really care. That's ridiculous to me. That's absolutely asinine. So, it's a real
I'm an
shame,
Adam
man.
Cole fan, and I completely agree.
Yeah, it's just there's a time and a place, right? And especially because the Adam Cole turn was right in front of you anyway. Like, you could have just done their build and then had Cole turn on Max in a wrestling angle. But it sucks. It's a shame, seriously. Like, it doesn't have to be this way, and it seems to get worse every week. So this was brutal.
It is very, very bad, isn't it, Charlie? And I know you've been very, happy to say when MJF has missed, like even before the devil stuff, like just his shtick getting old and stuff like this. But the past couple months, Charlie, MJF has taken it to levels I'm not even sure you were expecting him to reach when it comes to
we are
know?
at the bottom of the barrel with this shit, man. I have had very little patience with MJF as a character on TV for months and months and months. And I don't know how he gets worse. Like, every time I think he's hit a low point, it just gets worse. I'm not putting all the blame on him in this segment because the masked men doing tag work and tagging in and out instead of just beating the piss out of Max in this match was absolutely ridiculous. It was like, why are you working a match? You are literal fucking, like, why are you trying to work a match here? He's obviously beaten up, like, he's very injured. Just kick the shit out of him and take the belts. Like, you don't have to be a heel tag team in this situation. But it's just bad, isn't it? It's just really fucking bad. And I didn't think we'd hit another low point before the pay-per-view, but my God, they did it, so...
Quite impressive, I guess.
For
all the wrong reasons.
Really pisses me off. Like, the fucking pleasure doing business. Why couldn't Joe just hit him? Why did they have to do the stupid Titan run? Like, it would have been very fucking obvious what happened. Like, we didn't need the little virtual signaling from the devil being like, haha, Joe's in cahoots with us. Just like, I have a brain cell. I can figure that out by the fact that he's just turned on him. Like, I don't need it spelled out.
I know everyone was popping at the graphic, like, and but I'm just I wonder if they've updated the website yet.
Bro.
Oh my God.
It's really brutal. And also, I do think it's worth noting, and maybe I'm wrong on this, and this was my own distaste for it bleeding over. It did not feel to me like this got over in the building at all, actually.
No, it didn't. I went back and checked. Bro. They didn't give a fuck.
They seemed confused as to what just happened, like why. Yeah, it
was brutal. Very, very flat. I just, at least they caught me off guard with the Joe. I figured that Joe was working with the devil, but I didn't expect them to actually turn it on Dynamite. So they caught me off guard with that. I'll give them that. Yeah,
and that's a fine. Like, that makes sense. I do think it points the finger at Cole to a degree that's almost ridiculous. Like,
it's just like.
Yeah, because Cole actively told him team with Joe, give Joe his match. It kind of feels.
But Joe will help you. It'll be great.
Yeah, but it still is. The twist makes sense, which I think makes it even more impressive that this was so bad.
Yes.
I'm a lot of things. A wrestling historian is not one of them, but I have watched Samoa Joe wrestle for almost 20 years now. that was a complete character assassination of one of the biggest badasses in wrestling history. So the Samoa Joe I know in Obama's America, in Donald Trump's America, would never lay down and fake an injury to get out of a match. Like, I don't care if he eventually wanted to beat the shit out of Max, bro. Like, all that could have happened, like, after the match. When he was laying there and grabbing his knee and shit, I was just like, and I called it straight up. I was like, there's no way he actually got attacked. Like, there's no devils in the frame or anything like that. Like,
so even put it in the WrestlePurists tweet, like,
yeah.
Samoa Joe has assumably been attacked.
Yeah, like, and it's just like, we're not supposed to think these things about Samoa Joe. That's not Joe. Like, Joe being a heel and wanting to fight Max at his best or whatever, that's a Samoa Joe I know. Or even if he wanted to screw him at the end and cheat at the end of the match, that's completely different than him just laying on the fucking concrete, holding his leg like he's Peter Griffin. I think I saw Joe tweet that out, bro. It's just like, this is so bad, bro. Like, it's so bad. I don't even. It's indescribably bad. All of this devil stuff, it sucks, and all of this just to assumedly see Adam Cole take off the devil's mask and throw his fingers in the air so everybody can scream Adam Cole, baby. That's what's been hoarding the main event scene since Wembley. That's what we've been building to. So, like, this sucks, bro. This is so bad. I hate it so much. I hate it so much, bro. Like, get the world title away from this nonsense. Get Roderick Strong away from this nonsense. I don't know. I don't know what to say, bro. This sucks.
This is your world title program.
Closing the year strong.
I just don't understand how we got it. Like, the devil's so obviously Adam Cole, and that's not like a bad thing, but we could have made this so much more interesting with him being out injured, and they've just done the most stupid shit. And the Kingdom are not a bad tag team by any means, but my God, presuming they're under the mask, their performance last night was absolutely shocking. Like, it was just bad.
I can't wrap my head around that. You know,
the right way to do it.
The idea that this is a way to do Adam Cole and the Kingdom is like mind-boggling to me. You know, it's like, can't you just do it? Like, what?
I don't know why we needed. He should have just come back with the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Like, why is this the means to an end? Like,
the world title.
Explain yourself.
All right, bro. Your sound is insane.
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
You feel like you're here for a reason, and with that amount of background noise.
Yeah, the background. So if you have something to say.
Yeah. My sound is crazy. I'm aware. I deeply apologize. I had to pull up because I'm listening to y'all talk about this, right? And you guys are all making great points. But nobody's bringing up my issue, which is that it's so retribution adjacent, dude. Question, guys. Why is this organization known as AEW sanctioning a match for one of their championships with people that are like in kayfabe terrorists? They literally have crashed this show repeatedly to attack their signed talent. Like, the Acclaimed were like taken out of commission and like they attack people. Why? How do they have insurance? Do they have like names registered? Are they on like what are their names? Tony's supposed to know the names of his talents. How is he sanctioning a match between thing 1 and thing 2 in like a black mask? You know what I'm saying? That makes no sense.
Yep.
Question. Okay, guys, imagine if like somebody ran in the middle of a Lakers Celtics game, right? And just had their own basketball. It was like, oh, LeBron, can you beat me? Can you beat me, LeBron? And in the NBA, it was like, all right, next week, the Lakers versus these hidden players, you know, on ESPN. Why is
just sanctioning this nonsense?
Why is TBS agreeing to broadcast this? Like, why are their television partners agreeing to do this? Why is the company like allowing and sanctioning this? Is that too literal to be thinking this? Because that's all that comes to my mind.
No, it's not too little at all. I think that was very much amplified by the new graphics which we got.
Yes! And... Why is the graphic team like like encouraging this, like, good job to those masked assailants. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
All right, you're done.
Yeah, just had to say.
Very much appreciate.
Thank you, guys. All right.
The background noise is too much for me.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Thank you, guys.
As an executive. See how nice that is now?
That was crazy, yeah.
I can hear myself think. Yo, and then the go-to excuse, right, for MJF and all of his MJF sympathizers was, "Oh, you fucking online marks, don't you? Did it sound quiet in the arena, boo?" Well, guess what? This week it sounded quiet in motherfucking church mouse, bro. Like, you could hear a pin drop. The world champion got pinned, and nobody cared. The ROH tag titles that have been a center point in a lot of world title programs at this point, that should be a big deal. Should be a big deal when they change hands. They change hands. Nobody cared. Nobody moved the muscle last night in the arena when MJF got pinned. Nobody like I think one guy in the front row like threw his hands up. He's like, "What's going on?" But other than that, nobody cares, bro. Like, nobody gives a fuck. Like, this is
terrible finish too, by the way. Absolutely
awful
buried.
finish.
Poor. Was it Bryce? I think it was Bryce, right?
Bryce. Yeah,
God, like even to that level, things were bad here. You know, like the finish was terrible. Everything, the placement. My goodness, this is one of those ones that, like, I'm not sure any version of this was good, but you play this out 100 times, we may have got the worst version here. To be honest, this was real bad.
Yeah, it was very bad, very very bad. A weird Dynamite, very much epitomised by that angle. You know, angle that did have some really good stuff on it. No, a show that did have some really good stuff on it, but at the end of the day, it had some absolute garbage on it at the same time, which is for me, it's like always. Joe's probably the most familiar with my rants about this, but like the AEW creative process, like I always like to kind of like single that out, because it's like at this point, bro. And we were talking about earlier about Tony Khan's been experimenting, and you know, this part like QT's just left, and you know, he brought Will Washington in this year, he brought Jimmy Jacobs in this year, Brian Danielson seems to be more and more involved in the creative, and it's like, you know, you can even go back to like the beginning of AEW when it was like Tony Khan and the Elite and Cody, and then that got changed to, okay, Tony Khan's the person who's overseeing everything, but those guys can, of course, contribute, and some people like that, some people didn't like that, and the product did get really good for a period of time. But my point is that AEW has been around for fucking 4 years, or nearly 5 years now. I think Tony Khan was saying on the media call earlier that January 1st is when they like did the big launch and announcement of AEW is going to be a thing. So we're approaching 5 years on that. Tony Khan has been tinkering and changing and playing with his creative process and personnel for basically the whole time. How are you still pulling off stuff that is so inconsistent with what your core audience wants, bro? Like, how are you still having shows that have these high peaks and crazy flaws? Like, how are we still here? And I'm not saying that, like, you should have a creative team pick it and that's your process and you stick with it forever. But, like, with the amount of attention that Tony Khan has put into seemingly tinkering with it and trying to get it right, like, how are we still at this point after a review of AEW Dynamite scratching our heads about how shit can be so bad in this show? Like, how is this still happening? Joe, help me.
You know the nasty part is, Monty, it's not like there's ever been a time in the 5 years AEW's existed where something has been extremely over online with the hardcore AEW fans, and it just like didn't draw any money for AEW. Like, the fans refused to invest in it. Like, in actuality, wasn't drawing quarters. People weren't buying tickets to go see it. It's always gone hand in hand. So for there to be such a big departure between what they're trying to like do right now in some of these segments and what the online fans want to see is crazy to me. I don't get it at all.
I think some of it is, you know, one of the benefits of AEW is the creative freedom that a lot of the top guys have, right? That's a way you can lure some guys. That's kind of like a plus for some of the top guys there. It also can be an issue if they have certain instincts, right? Like Chris Jericho has had some great segments. He's had some awful segments, but his creative instincts are very much Raw in 2000. Right, like that's the way he's meant, and that isn't an inherently bad thing. However, this is not a new thing where Jericho's segment feels like, it's on a different show. I think we've seen similar things with Max lately. So I think the reason it's inconsistent, especially in terms of tone, is because there are different people behind different segments, and as a result, there's not like an overall vision of how it should look. It's more just like each lineup will shape how that show feels, If rather than a Chris Jericho live promo, there's an Eddie Kingston live promo, the show will have an entirely different tone than it would have otherwise. So I think that's part of it, and that's something that he's going to have to kind of navigate. I think reining guys in without, I guess handcuffing them creatively. I don't buy for a second that he's watching this devil angle, Tony Khan that is, and thinking this is real graps right here.
That's sick. I love it.
I don't buy it. So I don't know. Maybe the Continental Classic they'll learn lessons from this, because I think there's been pretty obvious ones like right in front of them, but we'll see.
Yeah, we got into that a lot more earlier because we was talking about how Tony Khan was talking about the Continental Classic in the media call, and we was just talking about hopefully he has learned these lessons that you've just mentioned, But yeah, man, I just obviously you cut him like 5 years in the sense of what I was talking about, like as a wrestling promotion, like it's still like early days, you know what I mean? But in kind of the context of what I was talking about like how Tony Khan still hasn't even settled on, like it feels like he doesn't even know what AEW is, and he's still trying to figure that out, and he's doing experiments and fucking control groups or whatever the fuck that means, you know what I mean? And it's like you don't even know what the vision is for his you don't even know what the vision is for his own company, and he's supposed to be the person steering the ship. And to Joe's point of it, it's like the talent on the shows dictate how it should be. That shouldn't be like something that affects the overall feeling of the show, you know. The show, the AEW itself as a promotion should have an identity. Dynamite in itself should have have its own identity. If you want to do something a bit different on Collision, then that should have its own identity. These shows and these brands and these promotions should know what they are, what they want to be, and that should be easily portrayed to us as fans, so we know what we're getting behind, like we did at the start of AEW, because it was very clear what AEW was at the start. It was a wrestling company by the wrestlers, funded by a billionaire. That was kind of the message as well. That was the messaging behind the company as well. And now I don't know what it is. In my personal experience of being a fan of AEW and being someone who reviews all the shows and covers it on WrestlePurists and stuff like that, and tries to keep up to date with all the news and stuff, I don't know what AEW's vision is right now. I don't know what it is. I haven't known what it is from a majority of the past year or so. Sometimes it's more blatant than others. Sometimes you kind of just let it slip because the shows they're on like kind of almost, I don't want to call it luck because that kind of discredits some of that, but they're on a fortunate run of good form of shows or something, so you don't really think it's time to bring it up and have these conversations. But after that angle last night, brother, I got the time.
Well, to me, it's a case of, and I'm not saying this to put the conversation off, I do think it's the best way to look at this. I think the first quarter of 2024 is going to be like fascinating in this regard, because we talked a lot in the last month about what will this TV look like once the Continental Classic is done. And this was an alarming watch before the Continental Classic was done. So to me, you have two directions in front of you. And I think the one you choose is going to be absolutely pivotal as to what kind of 2024 is ahead of AEW. I think the choice is pretty obvious. The best version of AEW is when they I say this to be kind of dismissive of the creative, but let's be honest, the best version is when they get out the talent's way and let them wrestle and cut wrestling promos. When they overcomplicate things, they undercut their biggest advantage, which is they have an all-time great pro wrestling roster. Let wrestlers be wrestlers. Let them tell their stories in a way that is simple, a matter of conflict and wanting to win wrestling matches, and I think you'll be much better off. And I think you've seen that in the Continental Classic. It's not that simple without a tournament. Obviously, you are going to need to, you're going to need to like sprinkle in angles and stuff. And and more personal issues. But I still think the core ingredients are there and right in front of you. So we can only hope we see more of that and less of what ended this show. We don't know right now what that balance is going to look like. Right now, the balance is insane, right? Because you're getting like a classic match followed by, like 1990 WCW. So how they figure that balance out and, next year, I think is going to be really key, like super, super important.
Big year for him. Big quarter for him. Big quarter for him because it seems like the announcement of television deals and stuff is imminent. Obviously, we already know that NXT is going to be on CW. We know that USA is going to have SmackDown. So yeah, Raw, Dynamite, the whole AEW package.
Bro, reading the quotes,
Rampage, ROH. It's
reading the quotes. It seems like TK was trying to make it seem like they're with Warner Brothers Discovery through 2024, which I never got that impression before today. But he was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have a great 2024 with Warner." And I was like, I don't know. I feel like
I think it's the option year, isn't it? Yeah, it's the option year. 2024 is the option year, which they picked up a while ago.
Okay.
So yeah, and they will get they're going to get more money for this year than they have the previous 3 years. So yeah, it's an option year that Warner Brothers Discovery already decided to take up. So, but it's like, the actual announcements of where they're going to be in 2025, and so like they're in the next 3 to 6 months at least, So, very interesting times, obviously. I don't know. Very interesting, as Joe said. Identity-wise, where's the identity going to fall, and where's the actual show promotion going to fall in terms of what network and accessibility? And Tony's got a lot to figure out, brother. Brian Danielson stopping full time. That's.
What do we think Danielson stopping full time actually looks like? Like, what are we expecting here? Like 3 matches a year? Like.
I think maybe a couple more at the start. I think.
Probably.
He's
like
still
6.
so good, I feel like he's gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's the type of person to be like, "Yo, I tried, but fuck this, bro. Like, I need to wrestle. I'm wrestling until I die. Like, I don't know, man. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Reluctantly, yes, we will. I'll have to be dragged over that thing. It's important to note, like we talk about identity and style and stuff. I think this is key. Like, I think we're all aware there does need to be variety on the show, right? We're all aware of this. There's 5 hours of TV. There's room for some silliness and some shtick. There's always been that in AEW. It's worth kind of reiterating. But the key, I think, is, does it tonally fit together? Does it feel like it could feasibly exist in the same world? Right now, and as of late, the issue has been that some of the stuff feels like it is from like an actual different timeline altogether, which is jarring to watch. There's a fine line there between variety and the wrestling buffet that they would used to talk about back in the day, and what is happening. This is actually a different show that I don't want to watch at all, and that's
100%.
Yeah, that's been a real issue.
It's like when people were talking about variety wrestling buffet, people were talking about one segment, fucking, I don't know, CM Punk would be punching someone and having like some heated old school angle, which was fire at the time. Then you'd have like a high fucking,
fucking somebody doing a 630 to the outside.
Yeah, you'd have like a hot lucha versus Bucks match or something, and then you would have like Eddie Kingston and someone else dropping each other on the heads and doing chops. Like, that's the sort of like hardcore wrestling fan variety that they loved and are probably still looking for. Not zombies and devils,
exactly,
and then a bit of wrestling. Like,
because even if you look at the 2CC finals, like those were 2 different types of wrestling matches. Like, not even the triple threats themselves, in the way that they were worked. Like, in the fashion that they structured those wrestling matches, like there was a strong variety in those matches. Like, there's variety in wrestling itself. It doesn't mean you gotta do like clown show shit one segment for the sake of variety and the mythical casual fan, the 500,000 people that are gonna start watching AEW because you do some clown nonsense with devils and whatever the fuck else like you think brings in casual people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've got a lot to figure out. Important, very, very vital few months going into 2024. But yeah, let's do some super chats and get out of here. Matt K, £2. Appreciate it. Hope all is well, Joe. One love.
I didn't realise Matt had moved to the UK, but God bless.
Bro, 499. Appreciate it. Why are you guys approaching this segment as if this wasn't clearly the Kingdom? I mean, we didn't approach it like it wasn't the Kingdom. I mean, we didn't approach it like it was anybody. Outright say it was the Kingdom. But other than that, I don't see how we approached it like it wasn't though. So, I mean, AO straight up tweeted that it's Mike Bennett under one of them. You know?
I mean, look at his head, bro. It's Mike Bennett.
It is 100%.
Yeah, they've I don't know. It's weird. The guessing game's been funny because there's been instances where it's been blatantly Wardlow. There's been instances like last night where if you've got kind of like a sharp eye, you can probably tell that that's Mike Bennett. You know, and it's like then you can put 2 and 2 together, and it's like you know. Anyway, push $2. Appreciate it very much. TK got a little bit of that Vince influence in him. That's a big conversation for another day, which. You know, I could probably get some content out of that. You know, I don't even agree. Well,
I can't co-sign that one, but it'd be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Push $5. Appreciate you again. Is there an argument that MJF is the worst AEW champ out of all the holders, or is that an overreaction? Even Punk's reign never got this bad armor. Well, Punk's reigns barely actually count. The one even like reigns.
But if you're counting
he won the belt, but he didn't have a reign, you know.
If you're counting Punk, you have to put him dead last, just off the fact that he has 0 title defenses. He was out for months. You have to put him dead last. But if you're not counting Punk, MJF is by far my least favorite AEW World Champion of all time. I've never had disdain for. I'm not saying I loved every single program that every single champion was ever in, but I never had active disdain for their reign or what their vision was for pro wrestling or what they were planning to do with their run. Any of them. And this is I can't stand what's going on right now, bro. Like it's the worst stuff. It's the worst men shit on the show. Let me put it that way.
It's a tough one because I think to kind of go back to what I was saying earlier about MJF's reign is like I would probably put him last as well, but like I think as a reign as a whole, like we are all going to be left with like a bit of bad taste in our mouth from what's happened the past few months and you know how the reign is unfortunately coming to an end. But you know, obviously pretty much up until like the Jay White stuff, like you think of MJF's reign at the end of All In. You know, the Adam Cole match particularly, like it wasn't exactly like something that got me jumping up and down. It wasn't like my kind of match, but the match itself was a successful match.
Yeah, it was a successful what they were trying to do for the event.
A lot of people acclaim, blah 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 blah. You know, so at that point, MJF's reign was like going great. You know, and then the Jay White feud didn't really do anything for anyone. It probably hurt Jay White if anything. And then now there's this devil shit which we've been talking about for nearly 3 hours. You know, it's a shame that it's kind of had to completely go off the rails and just like go like full so far. You know, and I think it is probably the worst AEW World Title reign because the other ones have been generally pretty good, man. Like Kenny had a great reign. Hangman had a decent reign, which a lot of people would have hoped it would have been better, but it wasn't through fault of his own. He performed very well as champion. Chris Jericho, of course, the inaugural champion, which helped, you know, establish the belt, so you wouldn't say it was him. You know, it's there's been some good champions in AEW, you know what I mean? So Moxley, of course, like he's had the belt about 8 times and defended it about 50, you know, so the bar's pretty high, but you know, it's kind of is what it is, isn't it?
It's wild that we're having this conversation, and like I think fairly having it, considering the match he had with Dragon in what was that March, and it feels like a lifetime ago.
That's
like
what I'm saying, man.
it's wild. Yeah.
It's a shame. It is a shame because MJF has a talent. He's a great talent. He's a generational talent, in my opinion. And I don't feel any differently in terms of his talent or skill level towards him. I just think obviously it's just more of a direction.
His execution and what he wants to do isn't for me. He's talented as hell, bro, but I don't think he applies it well at all. Like when I look back at his reign, I'm like, wow, that was probably the greatest Iron Man match I've ever seen in my life. And then what else do we have? We have some TV matches. You have the Adam Cole TV match. We have the Takeshi TV match, the Ricky Starks TV match. It's just like, bro, every world champion has those. More, even so. Like, so it's just, I have to put you dead last, bro. Like,
yeah, it's a shame because, like I said, he was performing very, very well up until like the end of the summer, and then like I said, Jay White, Devil stuff, kind of. And now we're like, he's the worst AEW world champ that there's been, which sounds a lot more harsh than it actually is because as I just laid out, like the champions have all been generally very good. So, but
stinking with Tanahashi, stinking with President Ace, man. That was nasty.
Showtime Spurs. Yeah, you're probably better off. Showtime Spurs, $4. Appreciate you. I think lessons have already been learned. Think about how little time this took and how little MJF has been around compared to the White feud. When he's injured,
what to do with?
He is injured, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I do see where you're coming from. Where before this was getting like 30 minutes an episode, and now it's like, all right, continue.
And the Continental Classic as well. So it's like it's hard to actually really say, isn't it? Because it's like MJF has been injured, and you've been doing the Continental Classic. So naturally, of course, MJF's time has been drastically cut because one, he isn't there every week, and two, you're doing something that takes up so much time anyway. So
I'd like to think that TK wouldn't approve 30 minutes of devil shenanigans every week if MJF was healthy and the CC wasn't going on, just based off of crowd fan reaction alone. But you never know.
Yeah, obviously, I'd hope that would be the case, but yeah, Showtime Spurs. I think it's a little early, but you could absolutely be right, but I just think it's a little early to say because of circumstances I was just mentioning. Andy, 100 rupees, appreciate it as always. Disappointed by the World's End build. Only Eddie versus Mox has been enhanced by TV. Miro versus Andrade, Joe versus MJF were hurt. Swerve versus Lee, characters have moved on.
Can't disagree with a lot of what you're saying.
Yep, keyword enhanced. Because it's easy to forget. We get very close to this. We watch the show every week. That is the actual point. If matches would have more anticipation and excitement if they just threw up a graphic, that is not a good signal as to what you've done on the TV show. So, absolutely. And there needs to be much more of and I find this to be a wrestling-wide issue, actually, where it's just like, this is what we do. This is how we build to matches. But simply building to a match does not mean it is a good build or a build that has added intrigue to the match. Yeah. Miro Andrade is a perfect example.
Yeah, they've spent a lot of time on this.
Yeah, it's bad. Exactly right. But if you'd have just thrown up a graphic 6 weeks ago and said December 30th they're going to fight, I'd have said I'm in. So that's important. I think it's a good point, and it's saying that I think again, I don't think it's just an AEW thing. I think sometimes there are builds done just for the sake of ticking a box, and it's like, what are you actually achieving with this?
Yeah, I think you said it when you said as well. Like, you can be as fans as well and reviewers, I guess, podcasters, whatever the fuck. I mean, obviously the people actually involved making these stories, writing them and stuff. Like, we're just too close to it sometimes. Where it's like sometimes it is good to sit. Like, I'll do it as a fan. Sometimes literally mid-show, like I'll be watching something. I'll be like, what is the purpose of this? What are we achieving here? How is this story being enhanced? The word used in the super chats. I agree with everything said in the super chat, to be honest. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But it's not always tough. It's not always tough. There was very good things on this AEW Dynamite. Some stories were advanced. Enhanced. Sorry.
For sure.
You know,
The shows have been. I mean, we've kind of circled this a bunch of times, but the Continental Classic alone has ensured the shows have been really good as of late.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the best TV I've seen. Honestly, there was a Collision a couple of weeks ago. It's one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. It was outrageous. It was like a pay-per-view. So when we have these conversations, I think people know this, but it's always worth kind of being this drama. It's like it's because we see where it can be, and for a lot of us, AEW at its best is really like by far the most compelling wrestling for us. For me personally, it is. You know? Like there's no other wrestling that can move me the way that Dragon and Eddie did here, or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we have these conversations, because we feel like it could be, it's awesome as it is at times, but man, we feel like it could be a lot better, right? So that's what it's rooted in. But anyway, my bad for my detour there, Monty. What we got next here?
Oh, it's a good detour, mate. You're all right. I'm walking down Path of No Return 199. Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks? The real questions. We don't have many Dunkin' Donuts over here in the UK.
I'm not a coffee guy, but if you're just going off food, I gotta go with Dunkin'.
Oh yeah.
We're boycotting Starbucks, so.
Yeah, I
didn't want to get political on here.
Yeah, I'm not even. It's not even a thing where it's like, oh, don't say that. It's like I literally don't even know what's going on. But that's my.
Yeah, I know what Starbucks did, but I don't know what they said to be boycotted or whatever. But I definitely I think everybody knows where I stand on this. But yeah, I'm going with Dunkin' on the food.
Yeah, but in terms of just, I don't know, food and drinks, I've tried Dunkin' Donuts before. They were selling them in like Tesco's or some shit one time, and they were very nice. Starbucks food has never really impressed me, Joe Hall, and I'm not a coffee guy. So
bro, Starbucks food is tiny and expensive as hell, bro. Like it's so small.
The real answer here is Greg's.
True.
Yes.
You don't got that over here.
No.
Rule Britannia, folks.
That's the best answer, Greg's. Appreciate you though. Caster Show, appreciate you as always when you pop
Shout out to Caster.
Wishing WrestlePurists growth in the new year. Stay safe, y'all. Moxie versus Kingston is going to be a movie. Shout out AO. Appreciate you.
Appreciate the shout out, my boy. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to bring up that you ran away from Twitter because Sam Howell, the quarterback for the Washington racial slurs, has been exposed as a fraud, a backup at best. People, ignorant people, disgusting people that don't know any better, much like my friend Caster here, thought that he would be a future franchise QB. That has been exposed to not be true. So everybody laugh at Caster, laugh at the Washington racial slurs, but appreciate the $10, bro.
That was incredible.
Rasmus Hoyland, $2. Interesting. What are you doing in the US, mate? Anyway, finish my story before Cody Rhodes. God bless you, mate.
I gotta get one more of those tweets off before Mania. Somebody win a title.
Who could it be?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of it last night. I don't know.
That's why we need Eddie to win.
Gunther?
Yeah,
Gunther could win
Eddie could work.
Yeah,
Eddie beating Brian last night could have worked.
It could? Oh, that was a missed opportunity. But it doesn't hit the same without the gold. You gotta have the picture of them raising the gold. So I'll do it for the Triple Crown.
The confetti. I think we can get out of here. We've took enough of your guys' time. Joe Hulbert, we appreciate you being live via satellite and live via in the room and live via however we're going to call it. Kayfabe, brother. Anyway, yeah, Charlie, AO.
The nasty part of this is when Hulbert bills you for 2 pods after this.
Well, we have a discussion after the show. I'm a professional.
Oh, well, can't wait. I had Ibu discussing when he's going to get paid with me live on the air yesterday as well. It's just...
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
You should fine him for that, bro. You should fine him for that and give the money to us, in my opinion. But,
I'll think about it. I'll consider it. But yeah, Charlie, Joe, I hope you all had a great Christmas. I hope everyone who's watching has had a great Christmas. And, we haven't offended anybody with the 3-hour AEW Dynamite review, which included a few rants. Yeah, man, this is what we do every Thursday, you know? It's what we're going to be doing in 2024.
Yep.
Joe Hulbert, I'm still negotiating a contract with him for 2024 Thursdays, you know? We got a lot coming at WrestlePurists. Also, people, go to the WrestlePurists website and vote for your wrestler of the year.
Yes.
I'm going to tweet the link again. I'm just going to randomly tweet the link in about 5 minutes. So keep an eye on the WrestlePurists page, or you can literally go to, like, if you type in WrestlePurists Awards 2023 in Google, it'll probably come up at the top. So, right, is that everything? Tomorrow, me and Joe Hulbert will be back. Afternoon show. Hopefully, Observer newsletter is interesting. Hopefully, we have some stuff to talk about, you know. But if not, we're just going to talk about Eddie Kingston or Kawada or fucking Tully Blanchard or something. You know?
The big three: King, Kawada, and Tully.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. But yeah, appreciate everyone who's tuned in. Appreciate everyone who tuned into the watch along yesterday with AO and Cole. But yeah, like, subscribe. Appreciate. What the fuck? Like, subscribe. Appreciate all the super chats. Thanks for watching, people. We'll be back tomorrow. Peace.
I believe.